What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2WS. Chapter 26 Dumbfounded Shiba Yixin. Advertise here. Soon after. Inside the secret training base. Bai Chen, do you know? It's because, when I mentioned you in front of me, Kyan's excited expression of spittle. That's why I'm becoming more and more curious about you. Next to the boiling hot springs. Shiba sat on the stone platform in a half-lying posture, and said with a loose expression. But, he just finished speaking. It immediately attracted Matsumoto Rangaku's eyes. Captain, save yourself. Is it because I want to be lazy during working hours? To avoid the 10th Division team affairs? To be a hand-off shopkeeper? Don't you have points in your heart? In front of Bai Chen, Matsumoto Rangaku broke the road directly. The night before, when the captain notified, Shiba did not say anything else, and actively signed up. He even boasted in front of the old man. He declared that he was fully confident that he would make Bai Chen a crash course within half a year, so that he would graduate gloriously ahead of schedule. That's why, Isshin Shiba and Rangaku Matsumoto. The reason why he will be selected by the captain and become Bai Chen's exclusive tutor. Obviously, the captain is also looking forward to it. The first talent shown by Bai Chen. In terms of the length of graduation, it must be able to break the historical record, right? Graduate in half a year. I didn't expect the old man to have such high hopes for me. Hearing Matsumoto Rangaku's explanation, Bai Chen couldn't help feeling surprised, and underestimated the degree to which he was favored. But, Bai Chen then shook his head silently. Half a year is too long. It doesn't take that long at all. As long as the timing is right, Bai Chen is now sure to pass the graduation examination. And next, did not continue the topic. After some conversation, Shiba Yixin and Matsumoto Rangaku decided to start with Kido first. In the first class, let Bai Chen learn Kido. Bai Chen. You look good. I'll demonstrate it first, and you just need to observe silently from the sidelines. The center of the training field. Under the long blonde hair hanging down, Matsumoto Rangaku exhorted in a gentle voice. But while she was talking, the pair of huge headlights in front of him also made Bai Chen dizzy. Turn out to be, this is the legendary, milk sickness. I have to admit that Matsumoto Rangaku's milk volume is indeed a little too high compared to Momoko's flat figure that hasn't started to develop yet. Bai Chen felt joy in his heart. At the same time, I am even more fortunate that I will be appreciated by the captain. After all, compared to taking classes in the academy, it's boring and I can't learn much. It's better to be in this secret base, unfettered and free to cultivate. The main thing is, Bai Chen turned his head. Take a look at the hot spring next to it. I'm tired from practicing later, let's find a reason to send Shiba away. Maybe I can take a bath alone with Matsumoto Rangaku. Isn't there a more refreshing way to play with two bears in the water? Just when Bai Chen was expecting it in his heart, Matsumoto Rangaku also began to chant the text. O King of Kings, the mask of flesh and blood, the Vientian, the thing that soars high and bears the name of man. Scorching and strife, across the sea to the south, step forward. 31 of Hado, Red Cannon. Considering Bai Chen's talent and savvy, Hado is so simple that there is no need to teach it at all. So Matsumoto Rangaku directly skips the Hado in the previous serial number. Start with the common, Red Cannon. Present Kido at Bai Chen. Boom. With the palm forward, the spiritual power radiates. The moment the chant fell, Matsumoto Rangaku's hands immediately released a scorching fireball. After all, it's a Shinigami at the vice captain level. Even if the serial number of Kai Cannon is not high, or even Gote 13's Shinigami, almost everyone knows it. But the power of this fireball is still extraordinary. In an instant, the temperature in the training ground rose in vain. Bai Chen, you should be able to feel it. This is the power of Kido. It is also the most common method that Shinigami uses against enemies besides Zanpakutō. After a brief explanation, Matsumoto Rangaku pushed forward with both hands and released the fireball. Then, boom, accompanied by a loud bang. The fireball explodes, the flames are released, and the flames burn. And as the flame exploded, a pungent charred smell quickly permeated the air. And where the red cannon exploded, a deep pit appeared on the ground. Rangaku, well done. With you here, I don't have to worry about it at all, just keep staying by my side. Shiba Yixin yawned and continued to fish lazily. Hear him. Matsumoto Rangaku rolled his eyes in disgust. When he turned his head to look at Bai Chen, the enthusiastic smile returned to his face. Bai Chen, how are you? Do you need me to demonstrate again? Actually, the Kai Cannon is very simple. You only need to condense the spiritual power in your hands, and then release it in one breath. Matsumoto Rangaku has just finished a warm reminder and is about to give Bai Chen some time to think. But who knows? Vice Captain Matsumoto, I have learned. Bai Chen said suddenly. What? Did you hear me right? Just glanced at it and learned it right away. Hear Bai Chen's words. Shiba, who was still half lying down, gave up. The whole person stood up from the ground like a spring, with a surprised expression on his face. Impossible. Even if the red cannon is common, but in the process of releasing it, it still needs to convert spiritual power. How could Bai Chen learn it at a glance? Shiba asked himself wholeheartedly. When he was studying Kido, starting from Chong, with the lowest serial number, each Kido went back and forth several times before I could barely learn it. But now, Bai Chen can actually have a photographic memory. In this regard, no matter how strong Bai Chen's spiritual power is, Shiba will not believe it with all his heart. If only Kido were so easy to learn. Throughout Gote 13, there will not be so few people in Grandmaster Kido. However, facing Shiba's wholehearted questioning, Bai Chen did not respond with any words, but directly answered with actions. 31 of Hado, Red Cannon. Just raise your hand. Unleash your spiritual power. There is no need for cumbersome and long reciting texts. Bai Chen can instantly cast Kido with a single thought. Boom. Even Bai Chen didn't exude Reiatsu on purpose. But relying on his ultimate control over spiritual power, the fireball he condensed is extremely terrifying. The volume and scale of the fireball. It is also more than 10 times bigger than the one released by Matsumoto Rangaku before. In an instant, it occupied half of the air. Make every corner of the entire secret base. They were all shrouded in the terrifying hot aura emitted by the fireball. Watching this scene happen, Shiba is good with one heart. Matsumoto Rangaku is also good. The expressions of the two have been questioned from the very beginning. And then to the shock in the middle. Completely numb until the end. In the end, I couldn't help but exclaim. Damn. Not only did I learn it in an instant. And it's even better than blue, I just gave up singing. It's even more unbelievable, even if you give up singing. But the power of the red cannon is still more than 10 times stronger than that of Rangaku. Bai Chen, your Kido talent is too exaggerated. Shiba was completely dumbfounded. The whole person is like a sculpture, and he froze in place in astonishment. He never imagined. In addition to white hits, Bai Chen's talent in Kido. It's also full level. Chapter 27 Kido Sparring, 1 against 2. Advertise here. How can this be? Even if Bai Chen can really learn Kido at a glance. But the power of this fireball is too terrifying. Is this really Kai Cannon? His eyes widened in astonishment. In Matsumoto Rangaku's beautiful eyes, there was a reflection of the huge explosion in front of Bai Chen. For being too shocked, she covered her mouth in disbelief. Under the black Siba costume, the two cute little bears were also alive and kicking because of their shortness of breath. To know, there are two ways to release Kido. Or chant the text. Or give up singing. The former, step by step, full of power. And abandoning singing, although Kido can be cast instantly, but the power is only 1/3 of the original. That's exactly why Matsumoto Rangaku would be shocked. Because, the same Kido, different release methods. But Bai Chen's red cannon is obviously more than 10 times stronger than his own. Doesn't that mean, if Bai Chen recites the text and tries his best, his Kido would even be dozens of times stronger than himself? Hiss. Think here. Matsumoto Rangaku couldn't help but gasp. There were several layers of goosebumps on the skin all over the body. Such awesome Kido talent. Even seeing it with my own eyes, Matsumoto Rangaku still felt unreal. Even her childhood sweetheart Ichimaru Jin. Back then when I practiced Kido, I wouldn't be so exaggerated. It's outrageous. I originally planned to let Bai Chen learn all the Kido below number 90 in about a month. But now it seems that it doesn't take a month at all. A strong intuition tells Shiba Yixin. Not only the red cannon, even if Matsumoto Rangaku casts other Kido, Bai Chen can still learn it immediately. A month. Hehe. I'm afraid it will take less than a week. Bai Chen's proficiency in Kido will all reach the perfect full level. It is too heaven-defying. At this time, Bai Chen is the party involved. Although the two Shinigami captains were inadvertently shocked, the expression on his face was exceptionally calm. Obviously, this scene was expected to happen a long time ago. Although because of the sign in rewards, my Shinigami 4 skills have long been proficient in Grandmaster. However, there is still a certain gap between proficient Grandmaster and ultimate control. Just take advantage of this opportunity to fill Kido all at once. Bai Chen's goal is clear. Since there are two Shinigami captains as sparring partners, then show the full strength of Kido without reservation. Thus, but if there are any deficiencies and areas for improvement, Shiba Yixin and Matsumoto Rangaku can help immediately. Bai Chen just didn't expect. In the case of trying to restrain Reiatsu, his red cannon still scared the two Shinigami captains. For this, Bai Chen expressed his helplessness. For him who has awakened the ultimate sage body and has massive Reiatsu, this is really just basic practice. And next, as Bai Chen gathers his spiritual power, extinguish the fireball. The hot atmosphere that enveloped the audience just now has finally calmed down. Bai Chen, to test your Kido talent limit. Next, I will release all Kido uninterruptedly according to the serial number. Whether you can learn it quickly depends on your understanding and reaction ability. It was difficult to recover from the shock. After a short thought, Matsumoto Rangaku decided to increase the difficulty. It's not like it was before. While deliberately slowing down the motion, each move is shown in detail. Instead, it's a one-off serial release of Kido. In this way, Matsumoto Rangaku hopes to discern. Was what happened just now a coincidence? But, no response from Bai Chen yet. Shiba, who was on the sidelines, couldn't help frowning. Hey. Rangaku, don't mess around. Don't forget our mission. We are here to teach Bai Chen, not to make things difficult for him. Shiba was speechless. This way proposed by Matsumoto Rangaku. For a newcomer, it is no less than a painful torture. In addition to showing off skills, it is impossible to have a good effect. However, Shiba just finished his words. Bai Chen agreed without thinking. And on this basis, I put forward my own opinion. Captain Shiba is right. I think the effect will be greatly reduced if only Vice Captain Matsumoto demonstrates alone without interaction. How about meeting Shiba Ishin, Matsumoto Rangaku's dignified gaze? Bai Chen proposes a more radical approach. Skip the demo. Go to actual combat. I hope to have a fair Kido match with the two captains. Contrary to the expectations of the two Shinigami captains, Bai Chen didn't agree with each other, and planned to fast forward to the actual combat. And also want to challenge both of them at the same time. Chapter 28 Wood Clone Debut. 2-on-1 is okay. Advertise here. What? Bai Chen? Are you serious? Kido sparring. And planning to challenge both of us at the same time. For a moment, Shiba thought that he had heard wrong. But when he saw Bai Chen's nodding motion, his expression froze instantly. If Bai Chen simply disliked the Kido demo as a waste of time, then Shiba Yixin fully understands. In the Soul Society after all, any genius with a little bit of fame, each has its own unique character and temper. What's more, Bai Chen is the most talented person in history. But, threatening to compete in Kido, challenge two Shinigami captains at the same time. For such behavior, Shiba Yixin said it was hard to accept. A newcomer, 1 against 2, the opponents are still two Shinigami captains. This can no longer be explained by radicalism or blind self-confidence. Bai Chen didn't take Captain Shinigami seriously at all. Think here, Shiba is single-minded, angry and funny. Looking at Bai Chen again, the eyes are full of helplessness. Good guy, it's a pity that I have been helping you speak just now. I also advise Rangaku not to mess around. It's better now, you kid actually look down on people in turn, right? Bai Chen, I have to say, although I was offended, but I really appreciate your courage. Shake Captain Howry. The figure in Shiba's costume jumped slightly. Shiba stood firmly on the ground with one heart, and stood beside Matsumoto Rangaku. His expression was no longer the indifferent look before. Instead, he became more serious than ever before. The captain is angry. From Shiba Yixin's body. After feeling a looming Reiatsu aura, Matsumoto Rangaku drew a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Tisk can make a slacker angry. It can be seen how exaggerated what Bai Chen said just now. Just right. At Bai Chen's request, teach this kid a lesson. Lest he become inflated and proud because of his great talent. However, Shiba Yixin is also good, and Matsumoto Rangaku is also good. In fact, both of them guessed wrong. The reason why Bai Chen made a seemingly irrational move. Not because he was arrogant. Simply because, in Bai Chen's cognition, want to improve experience and proficiency in skills. The fastest way is undoubtedly actual combat. But in actual combat, the strength of the opponent is stronger. And the more people have fought. Then after the battle is over, the final experience and insights will be even more. Not to mention, a cunning flashed in Bai Chen's eyes. Immediately, in front of Shiba Ishin and Matsumoto Rangaku, he reached out and touched Zanpakutō who was hanging on his waist. Quote ? Quote. What is Bai Chen going to do? For Bai Chen's move. Both of them felt puzzled at the same time. No. The agreed Kido sparring. What does it mean that you are going to take out the sealed state? Captain Shiba, Captain Kong, I think you have misunderstood. What I just said is 1 against 2. While speaking, Bai Chen had already pulled Zanpakutō out of the scabbard, and held it upright in front of him with his backhand. What's the meaning? Until this moment, a premonition of uneasiness rose suddenly in Shiba's wholehearted heart. Intuition told him, what Bai Chen is going to do later will definitely blow up his 3 views. You will know soon. Bai Chen smiled and didn't explain too much. But a thought, towards the inside of Zanpakutō, continuously inject spiritual power. This is a harbinger of the imminent release of the wood-style mystery. Yes, not just Kido's actual combat. The power of Zanpakutō, wood-style mysteries as well. Bai Chen did not intend to release Zanpakutō. Just want to use Zanpakutō to summon the wood-style clone. The next moment, boom, no action was seen from Bai Chen either. In his body, Reiatsu, which was as deep as an abyss, was released without reservation. Emerald-like translucent luster erupted. Wow. Even if you are mentally prepared. And the moment Bai Chen released his spiritual power. Cover the body surface with its own Reiatsu for defense. But, be Reiatsu of the Zanpakutō, wooden dragon. When it is crushed head-on. Whether it's Shiba Ishin, or Matsumoto Rangaku. The two of them let out a heavy muffled snort at the same time. The line of sight is also at this moment, submerged in endless green light. Had to close my eyes. Then I heard Bai Chen shouting. Wood clone. After the sound rang, Shiba Yixin and Matsumoto Rangaku clearly sensed it. In front of them was a wave of Reiatsu that was so strong that it was almost unbearable for them. It seems that the other four strands have suddenly diverted out. So that at this very moment, Shiba's single-minded Reiatsu perception becomes disordered. He actually sensed it at the same time, a total of 5. Lifelike, Bai Chen's Reiatsu breath. This is how the same thing. Is there something wrong with my Reiatsu perception? It's impossible for Bai Chen to suddenly split into 5 parts, right? Can't care about the green light stinging his eyes. Shocked, and out of strong curiosity, Shiba Yixin suddenly opened his eyes. Next second, then he saw a scene that made his eyes tear apart. This is F*K. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I read it right. There are 5 Bai Chen in total. This moment. Shiba was stunned. I was so surprised that my eyeballs almost flew out. At this time, within his line of sight, 5 Bai Chens with exactly the same appearance stood in front of them impressively side by side. If only that was the case. Shiba is determined not to lose his composure like that. What really made him feel unbelievable were these 5 Bai Chen's Reiatsu. Almost at the same level. Whether by virtue of the naked eye, or Reiatsu perception is also good. It is impossible to tell which Bai Chen is real, or rather. The 5 figures in front of him are all Bai Chen. With his superb Reiatsu, he really split himself. Captain Shiba, don't panic, just relax. See Shiba's focused expression in his eyes. Bai Chen grinned slightly, revealing a satisfied smile. Very good. This is the effect he wants. When outsiders see Wood Clone for the first time, the shocking expression of 3 views bursting and pupils shaking. After a moment of satisfied appreciation, Bai Chen slowly explained. This is my avatar formed through Zanpakutō's power and spiritual energy. No consciousness, no thought, let alone act without authorization. I can control all Wood Clone at the same time with my mind. After hearing Bai Chen's explanation, Shiba Yixin, Matsumoto Rangaku's shocked expressions intensified on their faces. I was even so shocked that I lost the ability to organize language in a short time. What? Control all at the same time? Wouldn't that be equivalent to having 5 Bai Chens fighting together? That's too scary. So you understand now, under the control of Bai Chen's mind. The 4 Wood Clones on the left and right sides of his body lined up at the same time. After disappearing in place, flashed to the side of the 2 Shinigami captains. 2 Wood Clone as a group, surrounded Shiba Yixin and Matsumoto Rangaku respectively. It's not that I want to fight 2. It's the 2 of you, each of you has to fight 1 against 2. Chapter 29 The wool is almost bald. Advertise here. Hado's 33, Kengwo Fall. Hado's 58, The Earth Dances. Hado's 63, Fiery Lightning Howl. Continuous chants sounded. Immediately after Hado exploded, what it emits is the explosion light of different colors. And the chaotic spirits flying everywhere. Not bad. It didn't take long before even Fiery Lightning Howl was forced to use it. Both Shinigami captains, please keep going. Try to make my wood-style clone before dark, and gain more practical experience and insights about Kido. Next to the boiling hot springs, Bai Chen sat on a stone platform with a relaxed expression, enjoying the battle taking place in the distance with relish. At this time, Isshin Shiba and Rangaku Matsumoto, besieged by his 2 wood-style clones respectively, under the control of Bai Chen's mind, and relying on the majestic spiritual power dispersed by the ultimate sage body. The strength of each wood-style avatar is no less than that of himself, and all of them have the Reiatsu level above the 3rd class Lingwei. Even stronger than the average Shinigami captain. Therefore, even for the mighty strength of a wood-style clone. For the time being, I am still incomprehensible and deeply shocked. But in order to maintain the dignity of Captain Shinigami, don't be embarrassed and injured in the continuous Kido bombardment. Isshin Shiba and Rangaku Matsumoto can only be forced helplessly, pull out all the stops. In just under an hour, almost all the Kido that I have learned throughout my life have been released in offense and defense again and again. 39 of Hado, the box fan. Cast Bakudo again. Use the circular protective shield formed by spiritual power. After blocking the thunderstorm coming from the oncoming bombardment, Matsumoto Rangaku uses Shunpo to escape quickly. Dodge the Reiatsu blast as the thunderstorm bursts. At the same time, I didn't forget to look back. Looking at where Bai Chen was, he cursed with a resentful expression on his face. Mean, shameless, Bai Chen, you are such a rascal. Matsumoto Rangaku gritted his teeth. The experience of the past hour has completely broken her defenses. At the same time, I hate Bai Chen so much. Speechless. Say hello to Kido teaching. Inexplicably, it turned out to be surrounded by wood-style clones. Matsumoto Rangaku was even more depressed. With all her might, she restrained one of the wood-style clones. Result. Boom. Bai Chen simply waved the Zanpakutō. The previously trapped wood-style avatar disappeared in place. Replaced by, after giving back memory and perception, another brand new avatar with richer combat experience. As for Bai Chen himself, from the beginning to the end, I didn't even move my butt. He just relies on the continuous differentiation to create wood-style clones. It is easy to gain a lot of practical experience. Various tricks, and Kido combo releases and more. On the bodies of the two Shinigami captains, experience points are collected crazily. Not far away, Shiba's single-minded state, it's not much better than Matsumoto Rangaku. Although he is a real captain-level powerhouse. But no matter how powerful one is, there will always be a moment when one's spiritual power is exhausted. But there is no such thing as Bai Chen's wood-style avatar. There are even unlimited resurrection coins. Even if you are suppressed or injured. After a few seconds, a brand new avatar will be replaced immediately. Faced with this kind of almost infinite torture. With Shiba's single-minded expression, he had already put on a mask of pain. I knew Bai Chen would cheat. Last night, no matter what, he would not be in front of the captain, so he swears and recommends himself. If there is a choice, who wants to be a tool person who is constantly beaten? What's more, even the donkeys of the production team must be given a break. It can be seen that Bai Chen has no intention of releasing the clone at all. It's just to squeeze it to the end. Until you get yourself bald. Well, Shiba sighed helplessly. However, it was uncomfortable, but for Bai Chen's Zanpakutō, his curiosity was deeply aroused. If I remember correctly, the fall enrollment has just ended, right? That means, it's only been less than 3 days since Bai Chen obtained the sealed state. Think here. Shiba couldn't help but feel ashamed. Even after contacting Bai Chen, I have been shocked countless times. This moment, deep in my heart, is still extremely shocking. Once again, because of Bai Chen's heaven-defying performance, I feel the 3 views burst. As soon as I got the sealed state, I immediately awakened. Even Zanpakutō's ability is so powerful and weird. In front of him, Kaien's talent is simply not worth mentioning. As Shiba Kaien's uncle, Shiba couldn't help but sigh with emotion, in front of the monster like Bai Chen. Any genius, talent, everything will end up being crushed. Shiba wholeheartedly even thinks. Bai Chen who possesses the wood system Zanpakutō and has no weaknesses in other abilities. The peak limit of the future. Even above the Captain Chapter 30 Konoha-style swordsmanship. Apply for early graduation. Advertise here. Time flies. In a blink of an eye, more than half a month has passed. Shin, shin, shin. After the continuous sound of metal collisions. Shiba Yixin, holding Zanpakutō, Angetsu, seemed to have been hit by gravity, and the whole person flew backwards. Captain Haori drew a white arc in the air. In the end, he fell to the ground heavily in embarrassment. Zanpakutō Angetsu also lost his hand because of the loose wrist. This is the 3rd time this has happened today. Captain Shiba was unexpectedly crushed and defeated by Bai Chen using a new style of swordsmanship that he had never seen before in a frontal kendo posture. Didn't expect. Compared to Kido and Shunpo, Bai Chen's talent and strength in cutting techniques are even more terrifying. Looking at the figure of Shiba falling to the ground. As his adjutant, Matsumoto Rangaku had mixed feelings. Although Shiba Yixin himself is not a famous swordsman. And his Zanpakutō Angetsu also belongs to the hot Zanpakutō. But, due to Angetsu's ability traits, after Shikai, though able to unleash flames. But more is through the way of winding, in order to strengthen the power of slashing. So, in previous battles, Shiba's single-minded fighting method is still flat cutting. He also honed a wealth of practical experience because of this. Therefore, even if Shiba is not a swordsman at all, his accomplishments in chopping techniques can definitely rank first in the entire Soul Society. But even so, facing Bai Chen who has only practiced for less than half a month, Shiba's single-minded slashing technique was still firmly suppressed. Even no matter how hard he tries. Still unable to parry Bai Chen's sword attack. That's why the scene that Matsumoto Rangaku just saw happened. At the same time, in the flying dust, Shiba held Zanpakutō wholeheartedly, stood up again, looked at Bai Chen in front of him, and said with a helpless wry smile. Bai Chen, let's stop here. It is often said that there are only 3 things. Even if I continue to try, I will definitely not be able to crack your Konoha Ryu swordsmanship. Finished speaking, Shiba was downcast with all his heart. This has been the past half month. He didn't know how many times he felt depressed and frustrated. Captain Shiba, I accept it. He could hear the tiredness and helplessness in Shiba's single-minded words. Bai Chen didn't intend to continue to be aggressive either. After bowing hands and paying respects, Zanpakutō is put away. As for what Shiba Yixin just said, during the Kendo sparring, he used Konoha-style swordsmanship. It is also the memory inheritance from Senju Hashirama. Ahem. Look into Bai Chen's eyes. Shiba coughed lightly, and after thinking for a long time, he asked guiltily. That, Bai Chen, take the liberty to inquire. Where exactly did you learn your Konoha Ryu swordsmanship? Be the last word, the moment it comes out of your mouth. Shiba's single-minded face was as hot as if it had been scalded by boiling water. I can't wait to dig a hole and bury myself on the spot. Hi, it is obviously a heavy responsibility. Appointed by the old man to teach Bai Chen, Shinigami 4 skills. But now it's all right. I didn't say anything about being a sparring tool for half a month like a bastard. He was so shameless that he turned to Bai Chen for advice on swordsmanship. Rao is Shiba's heart, a thick-skinned man in itself. When I asked these words, I couldn't help but blush, feeling ashamed. But, just as he kept asking himself, would the question just now be too presumptuous and rude? Bai Chen's next answer. In an instant, Shiba was completely speechless. Captain Shiba, if I say, Konoha Ryu swordsmanship, I inadvertently comprehended it during these few days of training. Would you believe it? Bai Chen grinned and asked back. Ah, did you hear me right? Did you realize it in the past few days? True or false? Heard the words. Shiba's first reaction was to open his mouth wide in astonishment, feeling extremely absurd and unbelievable. Do not make jokes. If the swordsmanship school can be enlightened so easily, then the Soul Society has a long history. There will not be very few truly famous swordsmen. But, considering the experience of the past half-month, no matter how ridiculous Shiba thinks it is, he has no choice but to believe it. After all, no matter how exaggerated and outrageous things are, once it happened to Bai Chen, it would become reasonable, even taken for granted. Believe it or not, if I continue to practice, maybe I can comprehend more schools of swordsmanship. Bai Chen joked. However, these words are not bragging. After all, as the god of ninjas, Senju Hashirama is almost omnipotent, even, Shanju, is stronger than others. Not to mention the mere school of swordsmanship. Konoha-style swordsmanship is just one of the memory inheritance. Then as long as the time is right, Bai Chen can easily comprehend more other schools of swordsmanship. No need. With your current strength, your level of Shinigami 4 skills has already reached the captain level. There is no need to continue to cultivate in the future. Shiba said seriously. If you stay here and continue to practice, the effect will be minimal. With the strength of him and Matsumoto Rangaku, it's hard to give Bai Chen any real help. Therefore, it's time to end the dive too. Get out of this secret base. Shiba just didn't expect. The whole process only took less than a month. This kind of cultivation speed. It's like hanging up. Since you have said so, Captain Shiba, then it is indeed necessary for me to apply for early graduation. Bai Chen nodded slightly and said, in his impression, one of the prerequisites for graduation. It seems that you have to participate in a soul burial practice. Bai Chen, don't worry about it. Don't forget the duty of the 10th squad, it is the patrolling guard. Responsible for the Soul Society and the security and stability of the present world. So, once you decide to apply for the soul burial training, at that time, I will personally lead the team and go to the present world with you. Matsumoto Rangaku intervened in the chat. Looking into Bai Chen's eyes, he explained actively with a smile and enthusiasm. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Something's wrong. From Rangaku's words just now, how can I hear the obvious expectation? Could she be planning to use the soul burial practice as an opportunity to date Bai Chen alone? Shiba was dumbfounded. It never occurred to him anyway. His own adjutant, Matsumoto Rangaku, who was full of royal sister fan. After getting along for half a month, seem have a crush on Bai Chen. Chapter 31 Uninvited Guest. Broken Peak's request. Advertise here. No way, no way. It's not like someone really wants an old cow to eat young grass. Rangaku, take it easy. Bai Chen is the one the old man likes. The future candidate for the quasi-captain level. If you use too much force and make Bai Chen overdrawn, then you will lose a good seed for no reason. He clearly heard Matsumoto Rangaku's words. After that kind of gentle tone that was different from usual. In Shiba's mind, he immediately made up many strange things. The corner of the mouth couldn't help twitching a few times. Eye wipe. We are here to teach the 4 skills. Rather than aiming at passing on a certain aspect of experience. Rangaku, you are too impatient, right? And in the face of his overreaction, Matsumoto Rangaku naturally understood what Shiba was thinking. Under the long golden wavy hair, Matsumoto Rangaku's face blushed for a moment, and then his face turned pale. Shiba took a single look. Captain, what nonsense are you talking about? Even if I really admire Bai Chen, I can't use my brain like you. Huh, appreciate it. Hear the words of Matsumoto Rangaku. Bai Chen glanced down. His eyes fell on Matsumoto Rangaku without a trace. Look under the package of dead bully outfit. Those 2 pet bear queens were very angry, as if they were about to jump out at any time. Bai Chen nodded pleasingly. I also appreciate Vice Captain Matsumoto. Ah, I didn't expect Bai Chen to say that suddenly. Although she has long been a full-fledged mature woman, Matsumoto Rangaku was still attracted to her heart. She quickly and shyly changed the subject. Correct. Bai Chen, I forgot to tell you just now. There are still some necessary details about the soul burial practice. How to say? Bai Chen responded curiously. The sight is still from time to time, interacting with the 2 pet bears. Matsumoto Rangaku's face is getting redder and redder. She turned sideways quickly, avoiding Bai Chen's gaze, and then explained seriously. First of all, you must participate in the soul burial practice with the 6th generation students. And before every departure, it must be approved by all members. Make sure that no accidents will happen. Matsumoto Rangaku patiently explained. So, Vice Captain Matsumoto, are you worried that those 6th generation students who are about to graduate will not accept me easily? Bai Chen understood immediately. That's right. Although stories about you have already been widely circulated in Serai. But it's because everything is too appalling. So unless you have really come into contact with someone who knows you, otherwise, the first reaction of most people will be to have doubts. And think about it from the perspective of the sixth generation. They are so young and energetic, it is even more impossible for them to allow you to join rashly and take away the attention that originally belonged to them. As a person who has led teams many times to the present world for soul burial practice. For Spiritual Arts Academy, Matsumoto Rangaku has long been familiar with the personalities and tempers of the sixth generation students in each class. Want to get their approval? It is necessary to show the strength to convince all the sixth generation students. I see. After listening to Matsumoto Rangaku's explanation, Bai Chen felt no wavering in his heart. To be honest, isn't it a leapfrog challenge? There is nothing unacceptable about this. After all, Bai Chen jumped directly to level 6. If you can't show the strength to convince all the students, even if you have connections and backing, you will definitely attract gossip. So as long as I kill all the 6 rebirths at once, then they won't question me again, right? Bai Chen continued. Matsumoto Rangaku, Shiba Yixin. The two looked at each other. Apart from being speechless, it seemed to have been seen from the other party's eyes. I saw the scene where all the 6th generation students in the academy were beaten up by Bai Chen. I already understand the whole process. So regarding the matter of applying for early graduation, please trouble the 2 captains to help me arrange and move around. Nodding to the 2 Shinigami captains respectively, Bai Chen said in a grateful tone. But, shortly thereafter, just ended this topic. When the 3 of them were about to pack their things and leave the secret base. Suddenly, Shunpo, without warning, at the entrance of the hidden base, 2 consecutive bursts of wind sounded. Quote ? Quote. Obviously I'm leaving soon. There are other outsiders who came here specially. This sudden change, naturally, it attracted the attention of the 3 of Bai Chen. When they looked at the source of the sound in unison. After just one glance, they exclaimed in unison. This is Captain Soi Fon. And her lieutenant, Vice Captain Omeda. An exclamation came out. After recognizing the identity of the visitor, everyone was very surprised. What's the situation? Sui Feng actually came here on purpose. This arrogant iceberg beauty is also coming for me, right? Bai Chen frowned. At this time, at the end of his line of sight, the entrance to the hidden base was located. 2 figures, one big and one small, stood side by side. The one on the left, although petite, is heroic and has outstanding temperament. And the one on the right, on the other hand, the whole body was covered with fat. But the big gold chain that hangs around the neck, glittering in the light outside the exit. Sui Feng. Omeda Nozomi. Bai Chen didn't expect it anyway. Just when he was about to end his subterranean training, he unexpectedly ushered in these 2 uninvited guests. But, why don't I remember that I have had any interaction with the second team or the secret maneuver? Just when Bai Chen was puzzled, Shiba, who was beside him, was the first to ask questions. That, Captain Sui Feng, Vice Captain Omeda, may I ask why you suddenly appeared here? This secret base shouldn't be under the jurisdiction of the second division, right? Shiba scratched the back of his head in doubt, and instantly thought of a possibility. Could it be because this used to be the domain of Shihuen Yoruichi? So Sui Feng is not pleasing to the eye, and is planning to avenge her private revenge. No, it must not be like this. Based on what I know about Captain Sui Feng, she is not such a stingy person. Matsumoto Rangaku said without confidence. But just the 2 captains of the 10th team. Still a little nervous, waiting for Su Feng's answer. The latter's bright eyes. It simply ignores Shiba Ishin and Matsumoto Rangaku. It fell directly on Bai Chen. Sui Feng folded his hands on his shoulders, and said in a sonorous and forceful voice with a cold expression. Do not be nervous. I'm here for Bai Chen. I hope he can do me a favor. Chapter 32 Instant Opening. Is it that difficult? Advertise here. Quote ? Quote. A request from Captain Sui Feng. This is too rare. This moment. Hear Sui Feng's words. As a colleague, and also a captain-level Shinigami. Shiba Yixin and Matsumoto Rangaku's first reaction was to subconsciously suspect that they heard it wrong. How can it be? Sui Feng is one of the captains. In terms of high coldness, the only iceberg beauty who is as famous as Byakuya Kuchiki. As the captain of the second team, he also serves as the commander-in-chief of secret maneuvers. Sui Feng has no reason to let go of his identity. Take the initiative to ask others for help. Of course. Not only the 2 captains of Team 10, but also Bai Chen, who was also puzzled. Help. I'm a college student who hasn't graduated, how can I help? Bai Chen's expression became thoughtful. Assassination. Sentence. Arrest the traitor. Or investigative intelligence. It is speculated from the various responsibilities of the second division and the secret maneuver. Bai Chen doesn't think so. Such an overly professional thing. It was so difficult that Sui Feng came to the door and asked him to help an outsider to intervene. If not, this is not an explanation in disguise. The entire secret maneuver and the second division team are full of dead money. Do you usually just hide in the fan team and dawdle? This kind of thing, even if you think about it, you know it's impossible. No matter how arrogant Sui Fon is, it's impossible for Sui Fon to smash his own brand. Don't guess. Stand at the entrance to the secret base. Under the light, the petite and frail body reflected an exquisite figure on the ground. Sui Fon raised his eyes, looked at Bai Chen, and stated his purpose straight to the point. Bai Chen, you should still remember. About half a month ago, the first day of school. You once used a brand new white hits method in the classroom and blown up the entire training field with one punch. At that time, this matter once caused a lot of noise in the entire Seraiti. When this matter is brought up, Sui Feng's cold pretty face gradually became serious. So it's because of that incident. Bai Chen suddenly realized. Remember. Of course I remember. Shiba Isshin and Matsumoto Rangaku standing by. Isn't it because of this incident that he became his mentor? So, Captain Sui Feng, I understand. So you're curious about my white hits, right? Bai Chen looked at Sui Feng and asked back. That's right. He nodded noncommittally. Sui Feng then confessed. As early as some time ago, I, who was always good at white hits, suddenly had a new idea. In order to enhance the power of the white hits technique and improve its attack method. I've tried more than once to combine white hits with Kido, and failed every time. Speaking of which, Sui Feng took a deep look at Bai Chen. There was a fiery look in the originally cold eyes. She said with an expectant tone. Bai Chen, at the beginning, after hearing about your deeds, I immediately felt very curious. Later, after some research, after confirming that you can indeed combine Reiatsu and white hits perfectly, I made up my mind to find you for an interview in person. It's a pity, the you at that time had already left the academy and started training alone. In front of everyone, Sui Feng finished the ins and outs in one breath. Because this secret base is too hidden. So Sui Feng searched for several days. Searched almost all of Seraiti. That's when I finally met Bai Chen. Hi, Captain Sui Feng, it's not easy for you to seek a breakthrough. Bai Chen was a little dumbfounded. Sui Feng explained it for a long time, and what he said was, instant opening. Just for now, her understanding is not yet in place, and she has no further insights. That's why the skill development has not been completed for a long time. But, for Bai Chen, especially after going through half a month of subliminal training, there is such a thing as combining Kido with white hits with each other. It's easier than eating and drinking water. Captain Sui Feng. The idea in your mind should look like this after it takes shape. Meeting Sui Feng's expectant eyes, Bai Chen didn't drag his feet, he just released his spiritual power. This moment, boom, substantial Reiatsu, emerald green shimmer. Under the control of Bai Chen's mind, he quickly followed his arms, entwined, and climbed up. After seeing this scene, Sui Feng's eyes instantly widened like copper bells. The heart rate also reached the limit at this moment, and the breathing was short of breath. Team leader, he did it so easily. This is too. Omeda on the side. Before he even had time to exclaim, he was interrupted by Sui Feng sharply. Omeda, shut up. This is an extremely difficult matter. Please don't interfere with Bai Chen. Sui Feng didn't even look back. While staring intently, he scolded sharply. However, Sui Feng just finished speaking. Bai Chen, whom she cared about, shook his head leisurely. This. Extremely difficult. Not necessarily. Bai Chen couldn't help laughing, and then emphasized with a little embarrassment. Wrapping Reiatsu. Just the easiest way. Thunder type, fire type, wind type. I can also compress Kido of various attributes in high concentrations on my arms and shoulders. These words of Bai Chen. Like a thunderbolt, it instantly blasted into the bottom of Sui Feng's heart, completely breaking her mentality. What? The problem that has puzzled me for countless nights. In your eyes, it is actually a very simple thing. Hear Bai Chen's words. Sui Feng was completely dumbfounded. Regardless of the damage to his image, he froze in place in astonishment. On the way here, Sui Feng originally thought that it was just a coincidence that Bai Chen hadn't really mastered this brand new ability. And I will explore and discuss with Bai Chen together. I didn't expect. Bai Chen didn't even give him a chance. Even between the lines, he didn't pay attention to this matter at all. This made Sui Feng inadvertently produce. Is it because I am too good at it? Or is Bai Chen's talent too strong? Sui Feng, whose head is in a mess at the moment, can't tell the difference anymore. However, more murderous words sounded. Captain Sui Feng. If you don't believe me, I can show you one by one. Finished speaking, not waiting for Sui Feng to respond. Bai Chen gathered his spiritual power again, and continuously displayed Kido with different attributes. Hado's 33, Kengwo Fall. Hado's 58, Tianlin. Hado's 63, Fiery Lightning Howl. With the chant language falls. Fire, wind, thunder. Kido of 3 different natures were not released immediately. But like just now, wrap up along Bai Chen's arms until finally covering the entire shoulders and back. It made Bai Chen's momentum skyrocket. An extremely terrifying oppression erupted in an instant. It even made the surrounding air slightly distorted. And after doing all this, Bai Chen didn't change his expression the whole time, with a relaxed expression on his face. Didn't even shed a drop of sweat. And once again to Sui Feng. No. The 4 Shinigami captains present at the same time, they performed soul torture at the same time. Bai Chen looked around the audience, raised his eyebrows slightly, and asked with a light smile. Actually, combining Kido with white hits is not difficult at all. As Captain Shinigami, don't you guys can't even do such a simple thing. After hearing these words, everyone was speechless. Even together with Shiba Isen and Matsumoto Rangaku. They all became dumb in an instant. Chapter 33 Iceberg Beauty. I reject. Advertise here. Boom. Secret base. There was silence. Only the air vibration caused by the roar of the wind and thunder, and the sound of the continuous exploding spirit particles remained. So amazing. It's the first time I've really seen that Kido and white hits can be combined so perfectly. Captain, sure enough, we did not find the wrong person. Although what he said just now is really hurtful. Fat body, stunned in place. Omeida's eyes widened in surprise. Bai Chen in front of him was reflected in the dark pupils, after successively displaying various Kido. The momentum of the whole body is soaring. A heroic figure with dancing black hair, abundant martial arts, and almost invincible looks. And at this time, Omeida's side, Sui Feng's pretty face with fair skin. Not only was he no longer cold, but a strong light burst out from his eyes. Obviously, Sui Feng is very excited at the moment. The scene that happened in the eyes was the best effect she expected. No, we can even say, the new white hits technique displayed by Bai Chen. Far beyond Sui Feng's imagination. It made her feel extremely shocked, and at the same time completely subverted Sui Feng's 3 views. Because, not just one attribute of Kido. Bai Chen combined the whirlwind, thunderbolt, and flame explosion at the same time. Kido of these 3 different attributes. At the same time, it entangles and covers the whole body, bringing the shocking visual effects of howling wind and thunder, and erupting flames. This is an exaggeration. Even if he saw it with his own eyes, Sui Feng still felt unreal. To know, before this, she had tried countless times. After experiencing one failure after another, Kido failed to combine even once. Not to mention, like Bai Chen, Kido with different attributes are superimposed at the same time. Therefore, by comparison, no matter how proud Sui Feng is in his heart, no matter how reluctant he is. I also have to admit, in terms of the perception and development of the white hits technique. She is the commander-in-chief who was stealthy and maneuverable. In front of Bai Chen, he was useless and was directly stomped on his head. And next, in the amazed eyes of everyone, it was displayed for a while. Bai Chen quickly recovered his spiritual power. The shining rays of light, the surging spirit particles, and all the wind and flame explosions also quickly disappeared. The entire secret base has returned to normal. Captain Sui Feng. I've finished showing you, you should be satisfied, right? If there is nothing else, I will continue to pack my things. He stretched his waist leisurely. Bai Chen looked at Sui Feng and asked politely. Honestly, or it was because the other party came to the door on purpose. Bai Chen would not be so patient. Like a tool man, he continuously casts instant openings of different attributes. After all, there is no connection between him and Sui Feng. There is only one side for now. Bai Chen will not deliberately cater to Sui Feng because of his status as the captain. There is no need at all. However, just when Bai Chen was about to turn around and go to the stone platform to pack his things. But suddenly stopped by Sui Feng. Bai Chen, wait a minute. Take a deep breath. Under the black dead bully outfit, her delicate body undulates violently, outlining a sexy arc. Sui Feng seemed to have made some sort of decision. Looking at Bai Chen's eyes, he asked firmly. It is undeniable that because of your help just now, I have indeed been greatly inspired. All the doubts in my mind suddenly became clear. First, tell the truth about how you feel. And after expressing my gratitude to Bai Chen. But, alas, Sui Feng then sighed. With a face full of melancholy, he said helplessly. Perhaps my comprehension is not enough. Even if I have witnessed it with my own eyes. But, just watching, observing with the naked eye. I think it is still difficult to complete it independently by myself alone. For the development of this new white hits technology. Speaking of which, Sui Feng paused for a moment. Then mustered up the courage, looked at Bai Chen with firm and sincere eyes, and asked. So, Bai Chen, I can beg you for help. Will you help me complete my final comprehension through combat training? In the end, Sui Feng almost gritted his teeth. With a stubborn expression, he said it in one breath. This is for her who has always had a strong personality. The words just now almost exhausted Sui Feng's courage all his life. Tisk tisk tisk. I really didn't expect it. In the eyes of countless people, Captain Sui Feng is like a cold goddess. There will be a day when he bows his head and begs for help. Look at Sui Feng's aggressive expression. And clearly heard what she just said. Shiba was dumbfounded. Emoticons become so wonderful. He really didn't expect that Sui Feng, who has always rejected people thousands of miles away, would have such a soft side. The most important is, Bai Chen begged by Sui Feng. It's just a freshman who has been enrolled for less than a month. This is outrageous. If there are no accidents, Bai Chen should agree, right? Matsumoto Rangaku said with a smile. Facing the most famous iceberg beauty in the Soul Society, she took the initiative to let go of her aloof attitude and made an almost humble request. This is not an ordinary man who can easily refuse. That's right. The captain has already lowered his attitude to the lowest. Bai Chen has no reason, and he shouldn't have the heart to reject the captain, right? Omaeda said with a grin. He's been in the Soul Society for so many years. I've never met someone who would reject Sui Fon face to face. However, as 3 Shinigami captains, all agreed that Bai Chen was about to agree to Sui Feng's request immediately. Bai Chen's next answer, but everyone was stunned for a moment. Captain Sui Feng, one thing to say, your attitude and what you said just now are indeed full of sincerity. But, shook his head, Bai Chen refused without hesitation. I don't seem to have an obligation to help you, do I? So, I'm sorry, if you're a sparring partner, forget it. In front of everyone, Bai Chen once again made a surprising statement and rejected Sui Feng face to face. What? Did you hear me right? Bai Chen. He actually rejected Sui Feng. He must have too much personality. This moment. Omaeda, Matsumoto Rangaku, and Shiba are one-hearted 3. After hearing Bai Chen's words, his expression froze instantly. It's unbelievable. I didn't expect. Bai Chen not only refused. And also refused very simply. He didn't take Sui Feng's face into consideration at all. This kind of result. The truth is beyond everyone's expectations. Quote. Sui Feng remained silent. The pretty face with delicate features also froze at this moment. Since decades ago, succeeding Shihuan Yoruichi as the captain of the 2nd Division and concurrently serving as the commander of stealth maneuvers. This is how long she has been. For the first time, I was ruthlessly rejected face to face by a man. Chapter 34 New Check-in. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Advertise here. The atmosphere is awkward, because of Bai Chen's indifferent refusal. The entire secret base was suddenly silent. No one expected. Facing the active request of the iceberg beauty Sui Feng. Under the circumstances of disparity in identities, Bai Chen was able to reject Sui Feng face to face without any worries. Such a result, playing cards completely out of routine. It also made everyone present, including Sui Feng himself, feel extremely surprised and caught off guard. Hateful. Bai Chen, you kid is too bad at being a man. Do you know, during this period of time, Captain Sui Feng spent so much time trying to find you. Silence for a while, after recovering from the shock. As an adjutant, Omaeda was in a hurry and scolded with a red face. The fat on the face. Also because of the continuous closing of the mouth, it was shaking violently. However, before Bai Chen could respond, Sui Feng, who was defended by him, reprimanded Omaeda in turn. Omaeda, shut up, stop embarrassing yourself here. Sui Feng glared angrily. The coldness and majesty in his eyes made Omaeda's body tremble in fear, and he quickly closed his mouth in fear. After reprimanding his subordinates, Sui Feng turned his head and looked at Bai Chen again, with an extremely complicated expression. Undeniable. In front of Shiba Isen and Matsumoto Rangaku. After being rejected by Bai Chen, Sui Feng once felt very humiliated. But, Tsunere does not mean stingy. Although she was a little upset, she let go of her pride and patiently asked Bai Chen again. Bai Chen, I know the incident happened unexpectedly, this request is very presumptuous. I can understand your subconscious rejection. But, he gritted his silver teeth. Sui Feng's pretty face gradually turned reddish, and said coyly. If you're willing to say yes. In exchange, I can also fulfill your request. Even as long as the practice goes well, no matter what. In order to learn the white hits technique that I have been thinking about. Sui Feng gritted his teeth and went straight to the fight, making up his mind. These words, of course, it once again aroused the exclamation of everyone. What? Did you hear me right? Anything is fine. Captain Sui Feng is so big. What a ruthless person. Shiba was stunned. Full of admiration, he gave Sui Feng a thumbs up. Good guy. Sui Feng is also really hardworking. In order to learn a white hit skill, he kept lowering his bottom line. The words, anything, are easy to make people think about it. At the same time, Bai Chen was also very surprised. Willing to do anything, after a brief moment of surprise. The corners of Bai Chen's mouth turned up, and he kept looking Sui Feng up and down with playful eyes on purpose. Oncoming gazes. It landed on top of the black tights. Feast your eyes on the good figure outlined below. Such a frivolous move. It directly made the proud Sui Feng's face turn even redder. Feeling ashamed and wanting to get angry at the same time. But, when I think of it, I have something to ask for from others. In case of losing his temper, he accidentally caused Bai Chen to turn his face. Then all the hard work will be in vain. So, Sui Feng has nothing to do. He could only be so ashamed, allowing Bai Chen to look at him aggressively, and continue to intentionally cross the line to tease him. And this scene, the 3 people who were also watching were completely dumbfounded. This is really fake. In the minds of the members of the second team, the captain who is as majestic as a strong woman will be molested face to face by a freshman. Omaeda was completely dumbfounded. I can't even help but praise Bai Chen. Leaving aside Shihuan Yoruichi, Bai Chen has been in the past for more than 100 years. The only man who submissively teases Soi Fon. And at this time, satisfied after the appreciation, just when Bai Chen was about to speak and make a decision. But suddenly, the long-lost system notification sound. At this time, it sounded again. Ding. New check-in task released. No time limit, please go to the secret mobile headquarters, check in. After signing in, you will receive a special reward, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Enhanced version of spiritual power. Hearing the content of the notification tone, Bai Chen's eyes lit up instantly. Secret maneuver. I froze for a moment. Bai Chen looked at Sui Fon and couldn't help laughing. It seems, in order to get the sign-in reward, sign in at the secret maneuvering headquarters. Then there is no reason to reject Sui Fon. Ever since. Just when Sui Fon gave up hope and was about to give up, Bai Chen suddenly changed his attitude. Captain Sui Fon. What you said just now should still count. If I assist you in training, you will satisfy me unconditionally. Certainly. I, Sui Fon, always keep my promises. Sui Feng's eyes widened in surprise. In order to learn instant opening immediately, she no longer cared so much. Very good. Then it's not too late, you can start training right now. Bai Chen showed a faint smile. The last sign in reward, Dark Walk Technique. After getting the enhancement of the system, it is directly comparable to Suzumushi Bankai. So, the same powerful Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. After undergoing systematic improvement, and localization of spiritual suns. What kind of big move will it evolve into? Bai Chen is full of expectations. Chapter 35 Full Favorability. Advertise here. Soon after. The center of the secret base. The open space was covered with signs of destruction due to the practice of the past half-month. Bai Chen and Sui Fon stood face to face. It's just that the expressions on their faces are completely different. A cloudless day. A serious face. As a Shinigami captain. Sui Fon is obviously the one with a higher status, but she showed the tension and pressure that only an apprentice would have. In contrast, Bai Chen. As always, calm and stable. After all, in his eyes, fighting against the captain-level Shinigami has long been nothing new. The past half-month, Shiba Isen and Matsumoto Rangaku. He has been beaten countless times by his wood-style avatar. I didn't expect that, the captain who has always been proud and strong. There will be a day when I will humbly ask others for advice. Watching Omeda, take Sui Feng's expression into your eyes. Until now, he still couldn't believe it. Who would have thought? Sui Feng stands tall like a queen. To be tamed by Bai Chen who has only been hospitalized for a month. This scene, even if you see it with your own eyes. Omeda still finds it ridiculous. Hi, Vice Captain Omeda, just get used to it. After coming to Omeda's side and patted him on the shoulder, Shiba smiled wholeheartedly and comforted him. The same thing, in the past half a month, the two of us have experienced it countless times. So don't be surprised, slowly you will get used to it. As a former victim, regarding Bai Chen's various deeds, Shiba has long been numb. Instead, he looked forward to it even more. Later, in the process of teaching white hits, how long will it take for Sui Feng to put on the pain mask? Presumably it shouldn't take long. At the same time, ignore the voices of discussion coming from the side. Bai Chen looked at Sui Feng, and asked in a deep voice. Captain Sui Feng, if you want a quick success, the most effective way is to imitate. So later, please concentrate on imitating my every movement, including the timing of mobilizing spiritual power. Finished. Bai Chen stretched his arms. At slower rates. While mobilizing the Reiatsu in the body, wrap the Reiatsu around the body. Boom. Barely 3 seconds. The sound of the exploding spirit exploded the air in an instant. And Sui Feng stood facing him. Caught off guard, he didn't react immediately. Captain Haori who was originally wrapped around his body. In an instant, she was blown away by the strong wind of Reiatsu, revealing her fair-skinned fragrant shoulders, and her well-proportioned body lines became more obvious. I see. Bai Chen's mastery of spiritual power has reached the level of ultimate subtlety. No wonder he can do it with ease, something I've always dreamed of. This moment, even Captain Haori fell to the ground. But Sui Feng didn't have the heart to pick it up at all. Her eyes widened, constantly observing every movement of Bai Chen, for fear of missing any detail. Subsequently, under the guidance of Bai Chen, Sui Feng unleashes Kido while controlling all Reiatsu. Try draining towards the shoulders and back. However, same process, same action, in the case of an almost mirror copy. Bai Chen did it easily. But on Sui Feng's side, in the process of draining Reiatsu, due to the imbalance of spiritual power, it failed without accident. Well, is it really because of the gap in the control of spiritual power? The first attempt failed. Although Sui Feng was somewhat discouraged, he quickly realized the key shortcomings. After all, it was just groping alone before. Now with Bai Chen teaching in person, Sui Feng only needs to imitate. The difficulty is naturally much lower than before. Captain Sui Feng, don't be discouraged. Actually, compressing Kido with high concentration is not as difficult as you think. With your understanding, you probably only need to try a few more times, and you will definitely be able to do it. I could see Sui Feng's depression. Bai Chen immediately offered verbal encouragement. And then patiently explained the points to pay attention to when compressing Kido. Get down with this set of behaviors. Not only did Sui Feng's frustration be removed immediately. At the same time, she deeply felt the caring and subtle side of Bai Chen. It seems that I misunderstood before. Compared to other geniuses, Bai Chen not only does not show off his might, but is enthusiastic about helping others and giving selflessly. Just because of his trust, I have to learn it as soon as possible. Sui Feng was greatly encouraged. Confidence appeared in his eyes again. As the captain of Shinigami, he holds a high position all the year round. Her fighting spirit and belief are naturally much stronger than ordinary people. Ever since, after regaining confidence, under Bai Chen's hands-on teaching, Sui Feng immediately continued to try. The result is, try and fail, second attempt, fail. Tried again, still failed. In this way, Sui Feng became more and more proficient in compressing Kido after failing again and again. At first, when Reiatsu wraps around his arm, Kido explodes on its own. And slowly, it continued to the shoulders. In the end, at Bai Chen's suggestion, Sui Feng specialized in wind attribute Kido. Finally, after countless attempts, and again, after minor injuries from Kido explosions. That's right, come on, keep steady. Calm down, don't stress, and try to get in touch with the Reiatsu in Kido. Control their orderly distribution in all parts of the body. Under the synchronous guidance of Bai Chen, Sui Feng, with his face dirty from Kido's multiple explosions, concentrates on controlling Reiatsu. Not long after, it successfully condenses Reiatsu perfectly on the shoulders and back. Finally succeeded. This moment, Sui Feng's mood is very excited. Excitement is about to overflow from the black eyes. At the same time, boom, the Kido of the wind attribute exploded in vain. Not only did Sui Feng's body burst into a burst of dazzling white light, also spawning a substantial Reiatsu whirlwind. What a powerful force. From then on, my white hit's attainments have directly improved to a higher level. Shrouded in a storm, Sui Feng clenched his fists tightly. After feeling the extra violent destructive power in his body, Sui Feng's voice became visibly trembling. Become stronger. Increased combat power. This is what everyone dreams of. Sui Feng, who has a strong personality, is no exception. She just didn't expect, under the careful guidance of Bai Chen. It was a thing that confused me so much that I even thought it was as difficult as going to heaven. It was done so easily. Think here. Sui Feng raised his head suddenly. Looking at Bai Chen face to face, he smiled from the bottom of his heart and said, Bai Chen, thank you. It is because of your help that I was able to complete the development as I wished. The dark and bright eyes were not only filled with gratitude. There is also a touch of tenderness that has never appeared before. At the same time, also because of gratitude and joy. Sui Feng's favorability towards Bai Chen was instantly full at this moment. Chapter 36 Healing Ability. Stronger than Unohana Retsu. Advertise here. Captain Sui Feng, congratulations. It's only been an afternoon, and the development and comprehension of the white hits technique has come to a successful conclusion. From now on, your accomplishments in white hits are undoubtedly qualified to top the entire Soul Society. As an old fritter who has been around for many years. Looking at Sui Feng's agitated look, and after feeling the growing affection between her and Bai Chen, Shiba hurriedly pushed the boat along with the flow, came to the front and congratulated with a light smile. Don't forget to brag too. The strength of white hits, which Sui Feng likes most, is blown to the first place in Soul Society. But, hear Shiba's heartfelt words. Sui Feng, who had restrained Reiatsu and gradually calmed down, felt embarrassed. Shaking his head, he looked at Bai Chen again, and said with solemn gratitude. Captain Shiba, too much praise. My success is inseparable from Bai Chen's careful guidance. And in terms of the strength of white hits, I can't compare to him at all. Bai Chen is the one with the highest potential ceiling in the entire Soul Society, white hits. At this time, when facing Bai Chen, Sui Feng is no longer the cold and icy beauty she used to be. Instead, she turned into a loyal little fangirl. Express my gratitude and recognition to Bai Chen from the bottom of my heart. Hey, Soul Society has the highest potential limit. I didn't realize it before. It turns out that Sui Feng is so good at complimenting people. I feel so embarrassed about blowing it up. Bai Chen touched the back of his head. Silently gave Sui Feng a like. At the same time, he glanced at the 4 Shinigami captains. Joking again. Before I knew it, my fan threshold was at least at the captain level. I'm afraid it will be the century captain's turn next, so line up to cheer for me, right? Just kidding. Although once again gained recognition and won Sui Feng's favor. But Bai Chen is not inflated. In the follow-up conversation, facing everyone's repeated praises, he just laughed it off. And everyone discussed before leaving. He also warmly proposed to treat Sui Feng's injury. Quote question mark quote. Bai Chen, you're not joking. The prerequisite for healing injuries is to learn Kaido. Don't tell me. Do you even know Kaido? The moment when Bai Chen proposed to heal his wounds. Shiba Yixin, who was originally smiling, suddenly changed his face in a fancy way. His pupils contracted suddenly. Looking at Bai Chen in disbelief, he subconsciously expressed strong doubts. To know, Kaido stands alongside Bakudo, Hado. It is also one of the 3 branches of Kido. Unlike the latter 2, not everyone knows Kaido even in Gote 13. In general, except for very few Shinigami. Only the medical squad, the chief officers of Squad 4, are good at and Grandmaster Kaido. That's why, after hearing Bai Chen's words, why did Shiba Yixin react so violently? Because, the past half-month, in both Hado and Bakudo, Bai Chen has already shown his extraordinary talent. And it's real, practice these 2 spells to perfection. But now, in such a superior situation, Bai Chen suddenly confessed that he can even Kaido. This is simply outrageous. But, Captain Shiba. How can I, Bai Chen, be serious? He seems to really know Kaido. Seriously probed Bai Chen's facial expression. After watching for more than 10 seconds, Matsumoto Rangaku said with difficulty. Based on her understanding of Bai Chen, the strongest talent the Soul Society has ever seen. Not the kind of person who deliberately brags for the sake of face. What's more, Bai Chen doesn't need to brag. The super strength he has shown so far has already made Matsumoto Rangaku admire the 5-body projection. So, Bai Chen, are you serious? Even Sui Fon couldn't help asking. You really know, Kaido, too. Because of her injuries, they were all insignificant skin traumas. So even if there is no treatment for the time being, Sui Fon will not pay too much attention to it, let alone think about it in advance. But, now that Bai Chen specifically mentioned it, Sui Feng's curiosity was also deeply hooked. She also didn't quite believe it. Bai Chen even knows, Kaido. How can a newcomer who has been admitted to the hospital for less than a month be omnipotent? This moment, an atmosphere that finally relaxes, immediately became tense again. The 4 Shinigami captains all focused their eyes on Bai Chen, expecting his answer solemnly. Hi, captains, do you need to be so nervous? After taking a panoramic view of everyone's expressions, Bai Chen spread his hands, and calmly replied in a nonchalant tone. You misunderstood. I really don't know, Kaido. Bai Chen had just finished speaking. The captains immediately breathed a sigh of relief, showing expressions of course. I'll just say, if Bai Chen is a grandmaster, then it's really hell. Omeda broke into a cold sweat. He didn't really believe that Bai Chen really knew how to heal. Probably just to tease Sui Feng. However, Omeda's voice. It just came out of the throat. It hasn't even begun to spread through the air. Bai Chen then spoke again. Kaido, there's no need to learn that stuff at all. I only need to use spiritual power to heal any injury easily. Finished. And don't give the captains any chance to be shocked. Bai Chen directly released his spiritual power and used the Muji healing skill. The next moment, boom, in everyone's horrified eyes. The spiritual power exuding emerald green light, like a floating source of life, erupted with incomparably bright light. Immediately afterwards, the 4 Shinigami captains clearly felt it. A pure and exuberant one. Incomparably powerful breath of life energy. Accompanied by Bai Chen's consciousness, floating lightly and lingering around Sui Feng's body, quickly repairing her injuries. This is too exaggerated. It's not that Bai Chen doesn't know Kaido, but has more advanced abilities than Kido. He froze in place in astonishment, watching helplessly in just a few seconds. All the injuries on Sui Feng's body, the miraculous picture of instant healing. Shiba couldn't hold his breath anymore. With an expression of seeing a ghost, he couldn't help but exclaimed loudly. His healing ability, even stronger than Captain Unohana Retsu's Kaido. Chapter 37 Aizen is coming soon. Advertise here. Amazing. Relying on the purest spiritual power in the body. Bai Chen's healing ability is even stronger than Captain Unohana Retsu's Kaido. Just when the captains were shocked. In the blink of an eye, the injuries on Sui Feng's body have all healed. Not only that, affected by the Muji healing ability. After the scars have healed, the skin is smoother and more supple than before. It looks like the skin of a newborn baby, full of vitality. Wrong. It's not just Captain Sui Feng alone. I can obviously feel that the fatigue and strain of the body and limbs are gradually being eliminated. Feel the fat on your body. Omeda pupil earthquake. After confirming that I didn't feel wrong, I immediately became ecstatic. This feeling is really wonderful. It's like soaking in a spring full of precious medicinal herbs. After the effect of the medicine took effect, the whole spiritual body was nourished. What makes Omeda even more incredible is that, just in between his words, in such a short time, he didn't feel any pain anymore. Obese body that often overeats. It seems that it has been thoroughly washed from the inside to the outside. The whole person is like a new life. Bai Chen. If I'm not mistaken, this should be related to your Zanpakutō. After recovering from physical fatigue, Matsumoto Rangaku let out a foul breath and asked curiously. Before, when Bai Chen split into wood-style avatar, his Zanpakutō, wooden dragon, bursts out with the same green glow. So Matsumoto Rangaku can easily guess. Such spiritual power with super healing power must also be one of Bai Chen Zanpakutō's abilities. Really, Matsumoto Rangaku quickly got the answer he wanted. That's right, healing and regeneration. It is also one of the basic abilities of the wooden dragon. Bai Chen nodded in acknowledgement. Muji healing can not only heal wounds, but also prolong life and greatly improve body functions. So when he dispersed his spiritual power, the other three other than Sui Fon will also feel healed. Only, Bai Chen overlooked one thing. Sui Fon and Omaeda, without knowing it beforehand, had already awakened Zanpakutō. Therefore, Bai Chen's personal nod to confirm. Once again, it caused an uproar in their mood. Wooden Dragon. As this Zanpakutō's name, unexpectedly, Bai Chen even awakened Zanpakutō. Sui Feng's expression was extremely complicated. Even if she is the commander-in-chief of stealthy maneuvers, he has carried out many assassination and execution missions. As early as many years ago, he had honed a strong psychological quality. But, when the breaking news happened to Bai Chen, one after another, after continuous exposure, even Sui Feng couldn't stand it anymore. The whole person was stunned in place, and his mood could not be calmed down for a long time. Before meeting Bai Chen, she never thought that there are really omnipotent people in this world. But now, he was standing right in front of him alive. This made Sui Feng feel particularly unreal. The next day, near the second squad team building, the area where the covert mobile headquarters is located. Ding. The host has been detected and has arrived at the unit at the check-in location. Do you want to check in? After the system prompt sounds, Bai Chen chose to confirm without hesitation. Sign in now. The next moment. Ding. The next step is to officially sign in. The sign-in time is 5 seconds, and if you quit halfway, it will be considered a failure. Falling with the beep, when the 5-second countdown ends. Bai Chen got his wish and unlocked new skills. Ding. Congratulations to host, the sign-in is successful. Sign-in reward. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique Power, quantity, depends on spiritual power. After signing in successfully, glancing at the skill introduction, Bai Chen's eyes suddenly burst into a strong light. That is to say, after the spiritual power of the local land, the shuriken here is not the kind of iron ninja tool in the ninja world. It's the spirit shuriken condensed from my spiritual power. Bai Chen burst into ecstasy. Even if you are mentally prepared. However, the improvement and strengthening of the system skills still far exceeded Bai Chen's previous estimate. Let him feel very pleasantly surprised. After all, if only shuriken darts. In the world of Shinigami, which is dominated by spiritual power, this thing is like setting off a handful of fireworks. It is nothing but cool. It is impossible to cause substantial damage to the enemy in battle. But, if all shuriken flying are made of spiritual power, that's a whole other story. Bai Chen is confident. With the infinite Reiatsu within him, once he casts the shuriken shadow clone technique, every shuriken dart made of condensed spiritual power. The power contained in it will be comparable to the high-level Hado after singing. There is no doubt that it will be a god skill for large-scale AoE. It's comfortable. Sign in twice before and after, and both have acquired skills at the ultimate level. I'm really looking forward to the next sign in. What kind of reward will it be? Withdraw your thoughts. Bai Chen showed a satisfied smile. No matter the dark row technique, or shuriken shadow clone technique. After the system has been improved and the local spiritual power has been transformed. In a way, they are also a kind of homemade Kido. Beyond all serial numbers, the unique legendary Kido. And at this time, Bai Chen has just signed in. Not far in front of him, two figures suddenly appeared. It was the two captains of the second team, Sui Feng and Omaeda. Bai Chen, how about it? Are you done with the tour? Actually, this area is no different from Spiritual Arts Academy. At most, you can meet Shinigami everywhere. After getting along with yesterday. In addition, his personality is easy to familiarize himself with. As soon as he saw Bai Chen, Omaeda greeted him with a smile. The visit is over. I have to say that almost everyone who is a stealthy manipulator hides very deeply. Unless the masks on their faces are lifted, it will be difficult to identify their identities in a short time. After a few brief chats, Bai Chen then changed the subject, looked at Sui Feng and asked. By the way, Captain Sui Feng, how is Captain Shiba handling the news about my application for early graduation? Bai Chen asked curiously. With Sui Feng's information network, it is right to ask her. That's exactly what we're here for. Clearing his throat, Sui Feng crossed his arms and told in an orderly manner. First of all, due to the team's busy schedule, Captain Shiba is currently inseparable from the 10th squad, so I was appointed to deliver the news. Besides, because the senior management of the academy, as well as the captain, are quite optimistic about your future prospects. That's why there will be 4 Shinigami captains coming to observe the assessment test between you and the 6th generation. When Sui Feng finished his last sentence, Bai Chen was immediately surprised. 4 Shinigami captains. That's right. Sui Feng nodded. Actually, this is quite normal. With your talent and strength, you deserve such treatment. All right. Bai Chen shrugged. He had to admit that he still underestimated how much the captain and the senior management of the academy valued him. Correct. Excuse me. Which captains will be there in person? Bai Chen had a premonition. The few people he is familiar with now may not necessarily be present. Really? Sui Feng's next answer confirmed Bai Chen's conjecture. Ichimaru Jin, Yuno Hana Retsu, Hieraku Shunsui, and Aizen Sōsuke. When Sui Feng pronounced the last name, Bai Chen's eyes flashed slightly. There was no trace in his eyes, and a cold light flashed across his eyes. Aizen, Ichimaru Jin, these two people will attend specially, it should be more than just a coincidence. It seems, I have been targeted by Aizen. Bai Chen could already imagine it. A few days later, before the duel with the 6th generation students. Welcome to Aizen. With the identity and attitude of a good old man, the scene of greeting himself with a smile. Chapter 38 Chief Student. Hisagi Shuhei. Advertise here. Aizen, Ichimaru Jin. The appearance of the two of them must not be as simple as a coincidence. After listening to the news conveyed by Sui Feng, Bai Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, and a look of fear flashed in his eyes. Original. He had already envisioned. As long as you're in the Soul Society, whether you're at the academy or joining Gotei 13 after graduation, sooner or later, he will be targeted by Aizen. This is inevitable. Even if he is not a time traveler. Talent is not as dazzling as it is now. Aizen will definitely extend its claws to every budding talent. If not, it goes against his villain who is used to control everything. But the fear is only for a moment. Bai Chen quickly calmed down and looked at this matter with a normal heart. According to his guess, Aizen's attendance this time was at best a tentative act. On that occasion, as Aizen in the supporting role, it is difficult to have the right time to release Zanpakutō in a grand and blatant way. Therefore, Bai Chen wasn't worried at all. In the case of meeting for the first time, hypnosis will be hypnosis by Kyoka Suigetsu. But, even if you won't be affected by Aizen for the time being, we must also find a way to restrain Kyoka Suigetsu as soon as possible. Bai Chen's eyes flashed. Immediately after that, I thought of inside his soul space, in the valley of the end at the end of the forest. Across the air from Senju Hashirama, another giant statue stands tall. That is, 6 Paths Madara. If you unlock the 6 Paths Madara template and get his powerful pupils, should be completely immune to the 5 senses hypnosis. In Bai Chen's impression, 6 Paths Madara in addition to the Rinnegan that evolved itself. After absorbing the Chakra God Tree, the reincarnation Sharingan was activated at the position directly above the forehead. Finally, with these eyes, Infinite Tsukuyomi was launched smoothly. Therefore, the same is to cast illusions, hypnosis, sensory control over others at the same time. Bai Chen doesn't think so. The 6 Paths Madara, who can hypnosis the entire ninja world, will fear the power of Kyoka Suigetsu. And this is also his greatest confidence in the future. At the same time, just when Bai Chen collected his thoughts, then came Sui Feng's soft voice. Correct, except for Captain Shinigami who attended. As for the 6th generation students, I also asked my subordinates to investigate. Looking into Bai Chen's eyes, Sui Feng then carefully reminded. I think among them, the only one who needs a little attention is the chief student of that class. A guy named Hisagi Shuhei. After listening to these words, Bai Chen froze for a moment, then raised his eyebrows in surprise. Huh, Hisagi Shuhei. Yeah, almost forgot, this guy is only a few years older than Rukia and the others. Bai Chen's eyes suddenly brightened, and he suddenly recalled. In the original plot, although when I participated in the autumn enrollment, I once failed twice. But, after entering school for the 3rd time, Hisagi Shuhei achieved excellent results. As a 6th generation student, he was promoted to Gotei 13 before he even graduated. The most important is, Hinamori Momo, Hira Izuru, and Abarai Renji go to the present world for soul burial practice. The time when the Manos Grande group attacked halfway. The person who leads the team, it seems, it is Hisagi Shuhei. In this accident, in order to cover the junior students from escaping, Hisagi Shuhei suffered an unfortunate head injury. On the entire right cheek, there is a permanent scar from being scratched by Shu. I didn't expect. Hisagi Shuhei is pretty good. He actually became a chief student. Bai Chen grinned. There was a playful arc. Original. For the confrontation with the 6th generation. Bai Chen didn't care at all from the beginning to the end. Just a group of college students. Not even Shinigami. To put it bluntly, it is no different from miscellaneous fish. Bai Chen can easily suppress the audience just by releasing Reiatsu. But, after learning that Hisagi Shuhei was also one of them, Bai Chen changed his pervert immediately. Instead, it became more interesting. After all, the future Hisagi Shuhei is the vice captain of Team 9. He is also the one with the most outstanding strength among all the adjutants. So, if before he grows up, severely abuse Hisagi Shuhei. So, this battle, the experience, in the future, it will inevitably become the psychological shadow of the other party, right? Chapter 39 Kendo Momentum. Sister Hua's Surprise. Advertise here. Time flies. In a blink of an eye, a week has passed. During this period, Bai Chen didn't go anywhere, and just stayed in the second team, continuing to practice and comprehend quietly. Besides, after another week of getting along, The relationship between Bai Chen and Sui Fon has also become a step further. Not just an acquaintance, but a close friend. To be precise, it is mutual appreciation and recognition. Although this relationship, for the time being, has nothing to do with love. But, it seems that there is a tendency to gradually straighten Sui Fon. Back to Spiritual Arts Academy. Bai Chen strolled in the aisle alone. Walked towards the agreed place of this confrontation. Hey, this is Bai Chen. He's the face of our first graders. The best student in the entire Spiritual Arts Academy. It is said that today he will be alone, in the martial arts arena on the west side of the academy, and challenge all the 6th generation students. Alone. But it's normal. After all, he is Bai Chen. On the contrary, I am even more worried about whether the 6th generation students will be able to resist the beating. At least the injuries will be less severe when they are beaten violently. After a month, appeared in the academy again. When Bai Chen walked through the first grade area, he was easily recognized, with admiration and awe all the way. And as for what others said, the martial arts arena located to the west of the academy. This is the destination Bai Chen is going to, and it is also the place where he will meet Aizen for the first time later. Not long after, along the winding aisles, after traveling through multiple areas all the way, Bai Chen has finally come to the academy's martial arts dojo. Bai Chen, please come in. Captain Shinigami, the senior leaders of the academy, and all the 6th generation students are already waiting inside. The person who received Bai Chen. It was the head teacher of the previous class. He nodded with a smile, then walked ahead, leading Bai Chen into the entrance of the martial arts arena. And this moment, the interior of the martial arts arena. On the instructor's seat at the highest point, 4 figures sat side by side. The body is wrapped in white feathers. Showed their consistent identity, Captain Shinigami. Yeah, everyone, do you feel it? There seems to be a powerful breath at the entrance of the dojo, ready to walk in. Under the short light purple hair, Ichimaru Jin squinted his eyes slightly, and while looking down at the entrance, a trademark fox smile appeared on his face. As the captain of the 3rd division, before Bai Chen was born. This snake-like man is undoubtedly the strongest genius ever recognized by the Soul Society. Therefore, when it was learned that Ichimaru Jin would also be present, this news once caused a huge sensation in the academy. Despite this grand contest, the main characters are Bai Chen and the 6th generation. But, the meeting of the two most powerful geniuses. Undoubtedly, it added more highlights to this competition. Is it Bai Chen? As a first-year student, I have only been in school for less than a month, and I have such an aura and aura. Bai Chen, just as the rumors say, he is a once-in-a-century genius. Ichimaru Jin sighed. Another gentle laughter, like a spring breeze, sounded. Under the drooping bangs, Aizen's face with a distinctly scholarly air was filled with a gentle smile at the moment. He is like a kind elder. When commenting on juniors, the words are full of appreciation and recognition. The positive image of, good old man, is also vividly reflected at this moment. Captain Aizen, could it be that from now on, you can't help but want to recruit Bai Chen in advance? This is an illegal operation, I will be the first to take the lead in opposing it. He wore a quar hat on his head, and on top of Captain Houri, he also wrapped an extra pink floral coat. Hiraku Shunsui joked on purpose in a joking tone. As the captain of the 8th division. At the same time, he is also one of the captain's most proud disciples. The presence of Hiraku Shunsui is no surprise. He almost came here on behalf of the captain. The purpose is to test the results of Bai Chen's practice in the past month. But, to the far right of the tutor seat, Unohana Retsu has a dignified face and a quiet and elegant face. It didn't get involved in the chat topic. Miss Hua lowered her eyes. He stared straight at the entrance of the dojo. Bai Chen's approach was quickly reflected in the clear eyes. Did I feel wrong? How do I feel? There seems to be a sharp sword-like aura hidden in Bai Chen's body. Just observed for a while. On Unohana Retsu's face, there was a look of surprise, and he even suspected that he had an illusion. Be a first-generation Kenpachi. The entire Gotei 13, the only Kendo Grandmaster ever. Sister Hua was as early as 1,000 years ago. Gathering all the schools in the world, he has achieved the 8,000 style Kendo with its own blood and evil spirit. Therefore, in terms of Kendo, she is undoubtedly the first person in the entire Gotei 13. Even the captain is a bit inferior. And just now, when Unohana Retsu probed from the air, surprisingly, Bai Chen felt the extremely rare aura of swordsmanship. To know, for a swordsman, sword skills can be achieved through continuous practice and comprehension through hard work, and it is even possible to develop them overnight. But, the momentum of the sword is not something that can be easily obtained overnight. Instead, it takes years of precipitation. Through slashing and actual combat time and time again, and constantly drifting away from blood and blades, it is possible to gradually condense an aura. But now, Unohana Retsu clearly remembers. Bai Chen just passed the autumn admissions assessment a month ago, and caused a stir in Soul Society because of his, third-class Lingwei. What's more, Bai Chen's appearance looks so young. No matter where you look at it, Unohana Retsu also doesn't think that Bai Chen will already be a hidden swordsman at a young age. It doesn't make sense at all. The leader of the Beijing band. In the rules of the challenge later, there should be a slash competition, right? Unohana Retsu, who had been silent until now. Because of the doubtful thoughts about Bai Chen, he couldn't help asking. Of course. Hiraku Shunsui replied with a chuckle. It's just that in order to avoid bloodshed, everyone will use a special wooden sword. Finished speaking, he noticed the flicker in Sister Hua's eyes. As one of the few people in the Soul Society who knows her past identity. Hiraku Shunsui lowered the brim of his hat. With a low voice, he asked curiously. Captain Unohana Retsu, shouldn't you, like Captain Aizen, have the idea of wanting to recruit Bai Chen in advance? It seems, I can get your approval. Bai Chen, he hides his strength deeper than I imagined. Chapter 40. Is he the second Zaraki Kenpachi? Advertise here. At the same time, the moment Bai Chen walked into the dojo. Not just Captain Shinigami, the high-level leaders of the academy, as well as the 6th generation students who are the opponents. All eyes, all at the same moment, all focus on Bai Chen. It's like looking at a star standing under the spotlight. Is he Bai Chen? Younger than I thought. Although the momentum is very strong, I want to challenge all of us on my own. It can only be said that he is too young. Although I have heard about Bai Chen's deeds a long time ago. But hearsay. It doesn't mean that the young and vigorous 6th generation students will be willing to bow their heads and admit that they are not as good as others. Not to mention, Bai Chen is still a first grader. No matter how strong he is, he can still challenge everyone by surpassing the 6th level. This is almost equivalent to 1 against 100. Therefore, on such a grand occasion, it would be a humiliating loss to Bai Chen. So no matter how many excuses you make, the 6th generation students will only feel that their self-esteem has been severely trampled. And this battle, together with the name, Bai Chen, it will also leave a lifetime shadow on them. Subsequently, under the spotlight, as the protagonist, Bai Chen stepped forward with a calm expression and arrived at the area where the contest will be held later. Look up, stare. After looking around, it ended up on Hisagi Shuhei. The expression is quite relaxed. It seems, compared to the people around him, Hisagi Shuhei is one of the few people who doesn't take things too seriously. It's no wonder that he, who failed the rankings twice, will stand out in the future and become the respected vice captain of the 9th division. At this time, when Bai Chen looked opposite, I found that Hisagi Shuhei's expression was obviously different from other people's. He didn't show obvious competitiveness. Instead, he has been silently observing himself. It is because of self-knowledge. So are you scared in advance? Or is it that Hisagi Shuhei is deliberately disguising, pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger first, and then burst out suddenly? Bai Chen is not very clear. He only knows that one counts as one. Including Hisagi Shuhei, every 6th generation student on the field must lie on the ground for him later. This is the purpose of his coming here today. Then, the academy teacher in charge of field control began to explain the rules. The assessment is divided into 3 rounds. In the first 2 rounds, the 6th generation students will choose 2 of the 4 skills of slashing fists and walking ghosts as the assessment content. The third game is the infinite chaos mode. There is no limit to skills, the 4 skills can be played at will, until either side takes the initiative to admit defeat. In addition, in order to increase the difficulty of the assessment, the number of 6th generation students participating in each game is not limited. The loud voice spread throughout the audience. After listening to the rules of the competition, there was a discussion above the instructor's seat. No limit on the number of people. That's too bad. Ichimaru Jin shook his head, with a tone of worry for Bai Chen. Facing the gap in numbers, Bai Chen fell into a huge disadvantage at the beginning. So, Captain Ichimaru, you don't like Bai Chen? Hiraku Shunsui asked. Well, I didn't say anything. Ichimaru Jin shrugged and responded with a smile. I just simply feel, if the 6th generation students were to attack every game, how would Bai Chen deal with it? Everyone is in battle. Hiraku Shunsui couldn't help laughing. That's really a bit disrespectful of martial arts. The total number of 6th generation students is nearly 200. Don't even think about it. 200 words for one. The scene is bound to be one-sided. Hee. 2 captains, you seem to have forgotten that Bai Chen is the greatest genius ever. We should sincerely believe in his strength. Push up the black-rimmed glasses. Aizen smiled slightly. Different from Ichimaru Jin, he showed his optimism towards Bai Chen. At the same time, that's when Aizen and Ichimaru Jin, Insidious each play the role of red and black face. The content of the first assessment has also been confirmed, the chopping technique. At this time, in the contest area, under the guidance of the field control teacher, Bai Chen came to the wooden stand beside him, casually picked up a special wooden sword, and then looked at the other side with a calm expression. Is there only number 50? And even Hisagi Shuhei didn't end up. It seems that I have been underestimated. At this time, within Bai Chen's line of sight, 56 returned students were distributed orderly on the left and right sides. Everyone held the same wooden sword in their hands, and there was deep hostility in their eyes. Obviously, they hoped to use the superiority in numbers. Defeat Bai Chen in the first trial. The assessment starts. Following the field control teacher's order, the 6th life with a sword immediately launched an offensive without hesitation. Take advantage of numbers and the wide area of the contest area. According to their plan in advance, some of them are attacking from the front. The other part is pinned sideways. The rest of the people are even more outflanking and surrounding the rear. The purpose of this is simple. It is by forming an encirclement circle, sealing Bai Chen's retreat without any dead ends, and then slashing with a knife at different angles. Let Bai Chen lose sight of this and show his flaws. However, the plan seemed to fit seamlessly. It's a pity that the opponent is Bai Chen. Sword stance, ignoring the flashing figures around him. And the wooden sword slashing constantly enlarged in the sight range. Bai Chen held the hilt of his sword. Raise the wooden sword to the side. Swipe. A wooden sword cuts through the air. A white arc was drawn in midair. At the same time, the aura of Bai Chen's whole person. An amazing transformation also took place at this moment. Boom. Like a breeze blowing willows. The white courtyard uniform on Bai Chen's body suddenly swayed without wind, making a rattling noise. At the same time, one that is distinctly different from Reiatsu. Substantial sharp sword energy, accompanied by surging sword intent, spread rapidly in the field like waves. This moment, when the sword intent erupts, even if Reiatsu hasn't been distributed yet. Bai Chen's body was full of chilling aura, and the wooden sword he held in his hand. Now, it's more like turning into a murderous sword. And the sixth return students attacking all around are sacrifices of blood. This momentum, this burst of sword intent. I didn't expect that. The induction just now is not wrong. Bai Chen is really a swordsman. This moment. When the vast sword intent, along the competition area, soars all the way up. The moment you get to the mentor's seat. The taciturn sister Hua finally couldn't help but exclaimed. At the same time, at this moment, the corners of her mouth instinctively rose up. Interesting. It's been 1,000 years. Have you finally met a man who can please me again? Chapter 41 Secret Sword. Break through the murderous stone. Advertise here. Besides white hits, Bai Chen is also Grandmaster Kendo. Not just Hana Retsu. Hiraku Shunsui beside her was also amazed by Bai Chen's Kendo at this moment. Since a month ago, Bai Chen once blasted the training field with one punch. In addition, in the past week, Bai Chen has been staying in the secret mobile headquarters, and the relationship with Soi Fon is very close. Therefore, Hiraku Shunsui would naturally be mistaken for Bai Chen's talent, as well as the direction of cultivation, are more inclined towards white hits. But it is such a preconceived idea. Get Hiraku Shunsui in the wrong place. He really didn't expect. In addition to white hits, Bai Chen's talent in cutting skills is even more terrifying. It's unbelievable. Tisk tisk tisk. As the second of Shinigami's 4 skills, all full-level talents. Bai Chen's display of strength is hard not to make people jealous. A hypocritical tone came out of Ichimaru Jin's mouth. It's hard to tell. Is he sincerely praising, or is he just acting on the occasion? As for Aizen, this time there was no enthusiastic praise. An undetectable strange look flashed across the eyes under the reflective lenses. Obviously, Aizen on the surface is calm. The state of mind that has always been calm in the ancient well, also because of the moment just now, the sharp sword intent of his bangs was blown away. But there was a slight disturbance after a long absence. But, for Bai Chen's penultimate talent, Aizen is not hostile. The opposite of, the stronger Bai Chen behaves. Aizen is more satisfied. He can't even get enough of it. The exposure that is just the tip of the iceberg cannot satisfy the tentative effect that Aizen wants. Except for the momentum of the sword. In terms of chopping and sword skills, you will not disappoint, right? Dark and deep eyes, condescending, firmly locked on Bai Chen. With anticipation in his eyes, Aizen muttered to himself. At the same time, compared to the big shots, the 6th generation students are not so calm. This is too weird. This kind of Kendo momentum. In the past 6 years of practice, I have never felt it from a Kendo teacher. Bai Chen, why is he so strong? The edge of the contest area. In the group of more than 100 6th return students who didn't play. An uneasy exclamation sounded continuously. Just now. When that substantial burst of sharp sword energy swept towards him. Those in the front row. He even vaguely felt that the hair in front of his forehead was almost chopped off. This weird feeling not only extinguished all self-confidence, but also brought fear in the soul. Despite the emotion of fear, it hasn't spread yet. But when they looked at Bai Chen again, there was no longer only hostility in the eyes of the 6th generation students. But, there is more intense fear. Everyone, don't panic. Felt the waning morale, as the chief student, Hisagi Shuhei, who had been silent before, finally stepped forward to calm his emotions. Momentum does not represent absolute combat power. No matter how strong the sword intent on Bai Chen is, it's hard to change the fact that he's surrounded. In a short distance of a few meters, unless he has 3 heads and 6 arms. Otherwise, it is impossible to parry the slashing attacks of 50 people at the same time. Holding the wooden sword with both arms, he leaned against his body. Hisagi Shuhei said with a firm tone. At this time. Just in between his speeches. The 56th generation students who launched the siege on the field did not stop because of fear. Instead, he swung the wooden sword even harder. I vowed to bring together everyone's strength to knock Bai Chen down before he raises his hand. However, they didn't expect that. Even such a short distance is enough for Bai Chen to launch the Konoha Ryu sword skill. Raise your hand. The blade shakes. Bai Chen didn't make a slashing movement. Instead, hold the hilt and swing the special wooden sword clockwise up and down. The next moment, boom, a stronger sword intent than before. Following the trajectory of the wooden sword, it condensed into a real shadow in an instant. It looks like a full moon shining. Konoha Ryu sword skill, secret sword long moon night. A light drink. The aura of swordsmanship on Bai Chen's body climbed to the peak in an instant. And when the momentum and sword intent merged with each other, a round of bright full moon suddenly took shape around Bai Chen. Looking from a distance, the full moon is shining brightly. No matter who saw it, they would subconsciously think that this is the real moon created by Bai Chen with his sword intent. Not surprisingly, when this scene appeared like a vision from the sky, the entire martial arts arena once again became a sensation because of this. Concentrate the sword intent, let Hollow realize it. This is something only a master-level swordsman can do. Bai Chen, he is actually a hidden sword master. This is impossible. In the audience, the Dean of Mao Academy of Spiritual Art and all the instructors looked at the lifelike full moon in front of them. Everyone pupil earthquake, doomed to widen his eyes. Everyone was terrified by the scene in front of them. They never thought that Bai Chen could hide so deeply. I thought that the Kendo aura that shocked the audience just now was probably the limit of Bai Chen. I didn't expect. The really superficial people are instead a group of bad old men like them. Limit, non-existent. Through systematic memory inheritance, Bai Chen's Konoha Ryu sword skills have already reached the pinnacle of perfection. Strength in Kendo. Nature is as powerful as a master. Wrong. It's not a phantom. It's not a phantom. That huge full moon is based on the powerful sword intent, and then integrated into the substantial Reiatsu. Thus forming the effect we can see today. The oldest Kendo teacher in the academy. Swallowing in horror, he exclaimed in a trembling voice. From this moment on, it's not Bai Chen who really needs to worry. Instead, it's the 6th generation students. When the full moon cuts out, all of them will be instantly killed. After saying these words, Kendo teacher's back was soaked quietly. He finally understood. Why did Bai Chen stand still after the assessment started, allowing the 6th generation students to surround him? Turn out to be, Bai Chen disliked the trouble of dealing with them one by one. Instead, he wants to use the new school of sword skills to slash the entire audience with one move. Really, what happened next? It perfectly verified what Kendo teacher said just now. Xingwei Yuchen. The cold light shines. With Bai Chen raising his hand, he swiped lightly. The huge full moon exuding infinite sword intent swept violently towards the surroundings. And because during the siege, he had already made a slashing action. Therefore, knowing that disaster is imminent. But the 6th generation students, there is no time to withdraw their swords. I can only watch helplessly, letting the soft moonlight occupy the entire field of vision. Finally, those 50 leaping figures. First, it was frozen in midair. Soon it is like the autumn wind sweeping the fallen leaves. One after another, they fell to the ground from midair. Not only that, when the sound of heavy objects hitting sounded continuously, the full moon slash didn't just disappear. Instead, driven by the surging sword energy, it continued to rippling towards the corner of the dojo. The most unbelievable thing is the ground fissures along the way. Unexpectedly, the ground made of murderous stone was cut open abruptly. This means the power of Bai Chen's secret sword. Unexpectedly, powerful enough to directly penetrate the murderous stone. Chapter 42 The Chief Students Contest. Advertise here. Too exaggerated. Even the killing spirit stone can't stop Bai Chen's slashing attack. And Bai Chen's weapon is just a wooden sword. If it were Zanpakutō, the entire dojo would be cut open. This moment, looking around the ground fissures. Those stone chips that exploded and flew around after being cut by the sword energy. As the audience, the high-level members of the academy all exclaimed in unison. They were all shocked by the scene in front of them. Well known. The murderous stone is a specialty of Soul Society. It is a rare ore that can completely block spirits and Reiatsu. Therefore, inside Saraiti, but any important building, the main material inside must contain a certain amount of murderous stone. This Spiritual Arts Academy's biggest martial arts dojo is no exception. But, Academy executives didn't expect it. They thought they had provided an absolutely safe and reliable stage for this high-profile assessment. In order to protect any accidents that may occur. I didn't expect. Thousands of calculations have been made, but Bai Chen is the biggest surprise. Ali, has even the murderous spirit stone been cut? Bai Chen's sword skills are truly terrifying. Although still the familiar tone. But this time, when he spoke, Ichimaru Jin's expression was unnatural. The fox smile disappeared. Instead, it was a dignified and solemn face. Obviously, as the first genius in the past, as strong as Ichimaru Jin, his Zanpakutō Shinso is one of the strongest in the physics department. At this moment, I still feel deeply afraid because of Bai Chen's sword skills. Konoha Ryu sword skill. How come I never heard of this genre before? Could it be that Bai Chen figured it out by himself? Hiroku Shunsui smashed his tongue. Even he himself thought it sounded outrageous. Sword skill genre. Is that something that can be comprehended casually? To know. Currently in the Soul Society. Those famous schools of swordsmanship. Which one has not been passed down for a long time? But Bai Chen is clearly just a newcomer. Hee. Captain Unohana Retsu, I guess you don't understand. Hiroku Shunsui turned his head, looked aside and asked with a wry smile. No, Captain of the Beijing band, you are wrong. From the beginning to the end, I didn't think about this problem at all. Sister Hua's emotions, clearly heavily infected. Under the drooping black hair, her eyes were burning with fire. This is an appreciation of Konoha Ryu's sword skill. At the same time, he is also a master of swordsmanship, the excitement and joy when he finds the same kind. In the eyes of Unohana Retsu, is what happened to Bai Chen reasonable or not? She doesn't care at all. Sister Hua's only thought at the moment. Instead, I hope to replace the 6th generation students. Come and have a fair sword fight with Bai Chen in person. At the same time, just when the entire martial arts arena was still immersed in a sensational atmosphere. Bai Chen is the party involved. Holding the knife in one hand, raising the arm lightly, the wooden sword is gracefully put away. This moment, that sharp sword aura that pierced through the murderous aura stone. Accompanied by Reiatsu and aura, they will be drawn back into Bai Chen's body together. And compared with the opening, everything as if nothing happened. The only difference is, there are tear marks all over the ground. There were 50 more unconscious, lying corpses. Excuse me, can we proceed to the next assessment? He glanced sideways. Bai Chen looked at the field control teacher and asked. Yes, it is. Bai Chen, your performance just now is very strong. The first assessment passed perfectly. Until Bai Chen asked back. Only then did the field control teacher barely recover. It's just that for the first time, the speech was still intermittent. Visible. Because of Bai Chen's sword just now. The field control teacher standing on the field almost got his tongue tied in fright. Subsequently, under the arrangement of the high-level college, the medical team members who have been waiting for a long time will carry out the comatose 6th generation students first. After cleaning up the stone chips all over the ground. The content of the second assessment has been confirmed. Kido. Is it finally on stage? Look at the candidate on the opposite side. The corner of Bai Chen's mouth curled up playfully. Maybe it's to prove myself. Or it is to save the advantage of numbers to the greatest extent for infinite brawl. In the second assessment, the opponent Bai Chen faced. There is only one person, the head student of the 6th grade, Hisagi Shuhei. Bai Chen, right, walk into the competition area calmly. Under the crisp black short hair, Hisagi Shuhei looked confident. Looking at Bai Chen, he said frankly. To be honest, the sense of oppression you bring is even stronger than those high-ranking officers I met in the 9th squad. Even though I haven't graduated yet. But at present, he has won the appreciation of Tusen Konami, and joined in advance as a member of the 9th division. But, there was a pause. Hisagi Shuhei suddenly raised his hand. When making a throwing action, his eyes instantly become sharp. Thanks to the teachings of those seniors. Even without relying on Zanpakutō. My strength in Kido still has great combat power. In confident words. With the Bakudo chant, 62 of Bakudo, the 100-step railing. Formed by the gathering of spiritual power, a large number of bound light rods galloped out, blasting towards Bai Chen densely. Preemptive strike. A very wise decision. Bai Chen stood still. Let the restraining light rod continue to enlarge in the eyes. After complimenting the other party, he raised his fingertips calmly. Hisagi Shuhei. In terms of actual combat experience, the chief officer can't compare to Captain Shinigami. The voice fell. The majestic spiritual power exploded in an instant. Not only set off a huge wave of Reiatsu. At the same time, while breathing, it turned into a torrent of white lightning. Indiscriminate violence crushes forward. Hado number 4, Shirai. When the serial number is too low. And after the name, Bai Lei, came out. Originally, all the staff kept quiet and immersed in the dojo to watch the battle. Suddenly there was an uproar. As Bai Chen sure he didn't make a mistake. This scale, this level of power, this is Bai Lei. It's clearly a big move comparable to Bankai. It looked like a world-destroying thunder dragon. The mighty thunder and lightning rushed forward, and at the same time caused the cracks in the ground to expand again. This moment, down to the 6th generation students who didn't play. Up to the senior leadership of the college. Everyone feels suspicious of life. The 3 views have been subverted again. Chapter 43 Create your own Kido. Aizen's shock. Advertise here. No way. Even Kido is that strong. The power of this white thunder is probably more than 10 times stronger than before. Because the thunder light is too dazzling. As a result, Hiroku Shunsui had to pull the hat to the lowest point when looking down. Only then can I barely open my eyes. But, he can't figure it out. The 2 captains of the 10th squad who were appointed by the old man to teach Bai Chen. Shiba with one heart. Matsumoto Rangaku. The 2 of them are not Kido masters either. But why only after half a month of special training? Bai Chen's Kido would be so scary. This is no longer as simple as green out of blue. Hiroku Shunsui thinks. Bai Chen's current Kido strength. It's even surpassed the average Shinigami captain. Straight to the captain and the chief Kido. White Thunder, the most common Hado. Using it to break the opponent's Bakudo can indeed achieve the best taunting effect. I have to say that apart from possessing strong strength, Bai Chen's mind is also much deeper than ordinary people's. Aizen pushed his glasses on the bridge of his nose, full of praise for Bai Chen. Only, no one noticed. In the depths of Aizen's pupils, an intriguing look quietly flashed across. It seems that there is a new cognition and judgment for Bai Chen. Hehe. Compared to blindly praising Bai Chen. Instead, I look forward to it even more. How will Hisagi Shuhei deal with it next? Those lightning torrents cover a huge area. It's hard to hide. Ichimaru Jin said with a smile. At this time, in the contest area. Due to the huge thunder and lightning torrent, it is too cruel. It was almost a carpet bombing all the way. Therefore, less and less room for Hisagi Shuhei to back down. Except for the sticks of light that were thrown earlier, all of them were crushed into fine powder. Hisagi Shuhei was also gradually pushed to the edge. If you retreat further, you will leave the contest area. And this will also be judged as an automatic surrender. So, the only thing Hisagi Shuhei can do right now. You can only do your best to block the bombardment of the thunderstorm head on. I didn't expect. I actually became so embarrassed because of Bai Lei. I'm afraid there is no more unlucky chief student than me. Hisagi Shuhei laughed at himself with a helpless expression. When I first played, he was full of confidence at one point, thinking that with Kido's strength at the Shinigami level, he had a chance to win this match. I didn't expect Bai Lei. For any Shinigami, it's the most basic, the most inconspicuous little skill. But it happened to come to Bai Chen. A small skill instantly becomes a powerful big move. This doesn't make sense at all. Honestly, if it is not to maintain the image. Hisagi Shuhei couldn't help but growl a long time ago. But, helpless to helpless. In order to save my life and avoid serious injury. Hisagi Shuhei could only bite the bullet. Unleashing a move, Bakudo, which he barely learned not so long ago. The proud son of heaven, the city wall made of iron, the dragon's walk, the lion's roar, the tiger's roar, the wolf's run, cut off the world before it collapses. 81 of Bakudo, Splitting Void. Original. With the identity of the sixth rebirth. But it can fully display the high-level Bakudo. This was originally a shocking event that would cause surprise and applause. But, because I was shocked and paralyzed by Bai Chen a long time ago. Even if a huge light curtain suddenly appeared, it was in front of Hisagi Shuhei. But the entire martial arts arena is still silent. Nobody likes Hisagi Shuhei. I don't think that this thin Kido barrier alone can withstand the bombardment of the torrent of lightning. Really, the scene that everyone expected was soon staged. Boom. There was a loud bang. A huge electric current crashed into the light curtain. However, in less than 3 seconds, Hisagi Shuhei's complexion suddenly changed. Without any hesitation, he rolled sideways to one side. And he hadn't waited for him to leave the place completely. Next second, boom, thunder and lightning burst. Not only did it blast through the air in an instant, it caused a deafening roar. At the same time, in less than a tenth of a second, it broke through the light curtain violently and blasted it into pieces. Bang! Appeared less than a minute. The splitting void barrier completely disappeared, annihilated in the blast wave. And Hisagi Shuhei, who was the target. Although he ran away immediately, he was still bombarded by the aftermath of the explosion. In full view, the whole person was thrown to the ground in a state of embarrassment. Hateful. I need to take back what I just said. The guidance of the seniors of the 9th division is not as good as Bai Chen's one shot of Bai Lei to teach people how to behave. The gap between me and him is too great. Bang with short hair. His face was ashen. Nearly 1/3 of the hospital uniforms were blown through. Although it will not immediately lose the ability to continue fighting. But, too embarrassing image. And disparity in power disparity. Hisagi Shuhei has lost all confidence and has no intention of fighting again. Are you kidding me? If you continue to be brave, let alone whether the counterattack will work. In case Bai Chen raises the serial number, continuously unleashes a more powerful Hado. At that time, maybe even my life will be involved. But, what the hell am I just playing? Surrender and admit defeat in less than a few minutes, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? How can I mess around in Gote 13 in the future? Just arrived Hisagi Shuhei still hesitated. How about when things aren't that bad? Take the initiative to admit defeat to Bai Chen, so as not to continue to be beaten. His hesitation. Instead, he was mistaken by Bai Chen for planning to keep going. Aren't you surrendering yet? It seems that Hisagi Shuhei is also a face-saving person. His eyes glanced calmly, looking at the embarrassed Hisagi Shuhei, and not far behind him, there were more than 100 other 6th-generation students who hadn't played yet. Bai Chen suddenly changed his mind. Since even the chief student is only at this level, then there is no need to continue the third, infinite brawl. Hisagi Shuhei, together with all the 6th reincarnation. Let's all fall to the ground in an instant. After making a decision. Bai Chen didn't procrastinate, but under the gaze of everyone, Reiatsu broke out again at the same time. Hands together. No seal technique. Hado. Shuriken shadow clone technique. When this burst of drinking, through Reiatsu's blessing and amplification, it is transmitted to every corner of the dojo. Located on the highest instructor seat, Aizen's gentle and kind face seemed to froze instantly. Shuriken shadow clone technique. What serial number Hado is this? Never heard of it before. Bai Chen, can he? Can create Kido himself. This moment. With the reveal of Shuriken shadow clone technique. For the first time ever since his appearance, Aizen was shocked. He never imagined before, in addition to the full-level Kido talent, Bai Chen was able to create his own Kido. Chapter 44 Captain Shinigami's Joint Seal. Advertise here. Self-created Kido. This kind of thing has always existed only in legends. Can someone really do it? Bai Chen is too heaven-defying. Aizen, although surprised. But he was barely able to keep his composure, so as not to openly lose his composure. But the senior management and instructors of the college below. Almost everyone fell off their backs and fell off their seats in fright. To know, Kido, the earliest birth, dates back to the era when the five nobles coexisted. It is the crystallization of the wisdom of countless Shinigami, the product of generations of accumulation. Especially when it was given a serial number later. Kido has become a systematic theoretical knowledge, which has long been fixed. Therefore, that's why, when I learned that Bai Chen was about to perform self-created Kido. The reason why the senior management and instructors of the academy reacted so violently. Because, in their inherent impression, what the Soul Society has truly been able to do and has clearly documented over the past few hundred years. Only the two former commanders of the Kido, Tessai Tsukubishi, Hachigen, these two Kido chiefs who have defected for many years now. Each has the ability to create Kido, and has also developed the forbidden technique. From this it can be seen that, how difficult is it to create your own Kido? At least you have to reach the level of the Kido leader. But the current Bai Chen, just a first grader, in less than a month of practice, has he been able to grow as long as Kido? It's outrageous. Of course, others were at best horrified and disbelieving. And the people who were really flustered. That's poor Hisagi Shuhei. Hateful. What's the situation? Bai Chen, is this about to kill everything? I'm just about to surrender. Hear the sound of drinking coming from the front. Look at the terrifying Reiatsu storm surging around Bai Chen. Hisagi Shuhei's mentality collapsed instantly. He was out of concern for face. After much difficulty, he gritted his teeth and made up his mind to admit defeat in front of everyone. But never thought of, I haven't had time to surrender yet. But Bai Chen didn't agree with each other, and suddenly released a big move. And so far it seems, it is basically impossible to interrupt Bai Chen's spell. From the moment Reiatsu broke out, it is doomed that Shuriken shadow clone technique will not stop halfway. Well, I'm so unlucky. With a helpless sigh, Hisagi Shuhei turned his head, with a hint of luck. He cast a begging gaze towards the mentor seat. But the teachers of the academy, as well as the Shinigami captains, shouldn't be desperate for help, right? Just in between his words. With increasing pressure, Hisagi Shuhei gradually felt breathless. Even the movements of the body began to become stiff and slow. So after thinking about it, Hisagi Shuhei decided to break the jar and give up struggling completely. Resist. Do not make jokes. It's just a prelude to release. The momentum was so oppressive that I couldn't breathe. Hisagi Shuhei thought with his toes. You can know the Shuriken shadow clone technique, it must be a big move to destroy the world. That's against the strips. It's better to just choose to lie flat, waiting for the Shinigami captains to come to the rescue. At the same time, under the gaze of countless horrified eyes. At this time, Bai Chen's whole body was enveloped in the Reiatsu storm, emitting emerald green dazzling light. And follow his thoughts. The substantive and majestic Reiatsu hovers upwards like green glass, quickly condensing and forming in midair. What's this? When everyone looks up, his eyes were all focused in midair. It was soon seen, in the midst of the stormy Reiatsu blast. A huge shuriken with incomparable spiritual power took shape. Boom. The shuriken spins at high speed. Not only intensified the surge of the Reiatsu air wave. And because the energy is too strong and the speed of rotation is too fast, there are continuous strands of lightning being released from it. Not only detonated the air. At the same time, the surrounding space has undergone a distortion visible to the naked eye. It's just a prelude to release. It can be seen how strong the destructive power of the Shuriken shadow clone technique is. This is too scary. If you let it explode, let alone this martial arts dojo. I'm afraid even our Shinigami captains may also pay the price for it. He looked up in astonishment. He stared blankly at the huge shuriken. After feeling the destructive waves emanating from it, Hiraku Shunsui couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up suddenly. I don't care about the rain hat above my head being blown away by the strong wind. Looking around with a dignified expression, he looked at the three colleagues around him, and suggested in a deep voice. Captain Aizen, Captain Ichimaru, Captain Unohana Retsu. You should be able to clearly feel it. Bai Chen's self-created Kido, its power is no less than that of the legendary Kido above number 90. On the deep face covered with stubble, filled with obvious anxiety, and look of fear. Hieraku Shunsui continued with an urgent tone. If you let it explode. Not to mention that the entire dojo will be razed to the ground, the lives of the 6th generation students and the teachers of the academy are even more at stake. So I propose that the 4 of us make the move. Create a barrier with Kido before that gigantic shuriken explodes. In this way, the scope of the explosion will be reduced to the maximum. It is not difficult to hear from the urgent tone. Hieraku Shunsui is really anxious this time. He never expected an assessment competition for college students. How could it evolve to this extent? If only the dojo was destroyed. If someone is killed, it will be hard to explain it to the captain. Yeah, if you want to limit the explosion range, you can only release Splitting Void together. Ichimaru Jin narrowed his eyes and said, Hana Retsu. Time is running out. Act now. Finished. The figures of the 4 Shinigami captains disappeared in an instant. When it reappears, it has already appeared in the east, west, north, south, and 4 directions of the competition area. Next to, the Bakudo chant sounded at the same time. The proud son of heaven, the Iron City Wall, the Dragon's Walk, the Lion's Roar, the Tiger's Roar, the Wolf's Run, cut off the world before it collapses. 81 of Bakudo, Splitting Void. With the chant language falls. Among the deafening roar, huge light curtains rose from all sides. It's perfectly connected together. In an instant, a closed ring barrier was formed. This area is completely blocked. Call. Although the process was a bit embarrassing, there should be no danger this time, right? Looking at the huge enchantment towering in front of him. Hieraku Shunsui nodded in satisfaction and breathed a sigh of relief. With the spiritual blessing of 4 Shinigami captains, this temporarily created enchantment can be said to be impenetrable. Even Hado of size 90 and above can resist. At the same time, the Kido barrier has just condensed and formed. The spiritual power shuriken, also in the process of flying at high speed, gradually turned into a huge energy light ball. Finally, in Aizen's anticipation, Ichimaru Jin's dignified, Hana Retsu's deep, and Hieraku Shunsui's confident eyes. The spiritual power shuriken exploded suddenly. Chapter 45 F*K. How could it still split? Advertise here. Time of crisis. Under the stares of the 4 Shinigami captains with completely different eyes. Accompanied by a terrifying breath of destruction. The spiritual power shuriken, transformed into a huge energy light ball, finally exploded with a bang. Boom. Accompanied by a loud noise enough to pierce eardrums. Inside the barrier space formed by the splitting void barrier. The energy light ball exploded. Black lightning is released. Not only crushed all the spirits in the air. At the same time, bursts of violent energy shock waves exploded. Constantly bombarding indiscriminately within the enchantment range. This is too scary. In my impression, only the old man's Ryujin Jaka possessed such power at the moment of liberation. Even through a transparent light curtain. Hieraku Shunsui was still in the light of those explosions, feeling a wave of deja vu. That's right. That is the deep feeling that Ryujin Jaka once brought him. But, at present, it seems that this explosion energy is not enough to shake the splitting void barrier. Ichimaru Jin continued. At this time, in his narrowed eyelids. Although the explosive energy crushes everything, it gives people a feeling of palpitations. But, the Kido barrier, after all, was created by the joint efforts of 4 Shinigami captains. Even with Aizen deliberately hiding his strength. Just the spiritual blessing of Hieraku Shunsui and Hana Retsu, the 2-century-old captains, is enough to support the barrier. Not to mention Ichimaru Jin is also giving his all at the moment. So, as Ichimaru Jin puts it, when the ripple-like shock wave hit the white barrier heavily. First of all, it caused the barrier to shake violently. The second is to create a large number of tiny cracks on the surface of the light curtain. It almost fell apart. However, with Sister Wa and others, continue to increase the transmission of spiritual power. These spreading cracks, in the end it couldn't continue. Before it could completely cover the entire barrier, it stagnated. Fine, although it consumes a lot of spiritual energy. But I managed to resist it without any risk. With a cautious eye. Check the Kido barrier several times in a row. Until the transparent light curtain is confirmed, there will no longer be any possibility of collapse. Hieraku Shunsui breathed a sigh of relief. Him at this time. Because of the excessive consumption of spiritual energy. As a result, his face turned pale, his blood was obviously lacking, and his physical strength was also severely overdrawn. As for the others, their status is almost the same. In order to resist this burst of blasting energy, he was forced to sacrifice a lot of energy. Then just wait for the aftermath to disappear. This crisis has finally been resolved without any risk. Although it was embarrassing at one time. However, the situation did not continue to expand, which is already the most satisfactory result. However, Hieraku Shunsui had just finished speaking. When he looked inside the barrier again, the expression that had finally relaxed suddenly changed drastically again in an instant. Damn, what's going on? Why did the energy in the aftermath of the explosion suddenly condense again? Hieraku Shunsui is dumbfounded. He was horrified to find the aftermath of the explosion that he thought would dissipate soon. The energy contained in it actually repeated the scene at the beginning, when Bai Chen just released the shuriken with spiritual power. That is to say, the explosion just now was just an introduction. From now on, more and more shurikens with spiritual power will truly condense into shape. Quote. Aizen was silent. The eyes hidden under the reflective lens flickered violently. Obviously, he was also extremely surprised by the weird scene in front of him. A Kido that will split. In this world, there are such rogue tricks. Ichimaru Jin was stunned. He thought he was cunning enough. Unexpectedly, Bai Chen is the real old fox. If it weren't for the four of them being cautious enough, they didn't remove the Kido barrier immediately. If not, now it's not just as simple as being surprised. It's about competing whose escape speed is faster. However, what happened next? It made the four Shinigami captains feel their scalps go numb at the same time. Shut up. In less than a few breaths. 1, 2, 3. Countless shurikens of spiritual power appeared at the same time. The dazzling light that blooms out of it is refracted through the transparent light curtain. It was as if a death star was lit up above the heads of the captains. Instantly brought a deadly threat of death. Chapter 46 Team Invitation from Aizen. Advertise here. It's over. Spiritual power shuriken, the more it splits, the more it splits. Although the size is not as good as the original, but the number is dozens of times that of before. If the division continues like this, the Kido barrier will collapse immediately. Periphery of the transparent light curtain. Those 6th generation students who were sheltered. Although I can see the scene that is happening in the enchantment. But when they were driven by instinct, they planned to escape from this area. But found out in horror. The legs are as heavy as lead. At this time, not to mention turning around and running away, even the simplest leg-raising movement became extremely difficult. Without external assistance, it is impossible to move half a step against the fear that penetrates into the soul. Well, I knew that Bai Chen was so pervert. What AF asterisk king test? Isn't this a joke with your own life? Into fear. The 6th generation students regretted it in their hearts. I knew that Bai Chen is a ruthless person. It's too late to hug my thigh. Where will the old rules be kept? As a senior student, deliberately make things difficult for the newcomer. Bai Chen is clearly a monster with captain-level combat strength. Fortunately, not long after, the 6th generation students who were almost desperate. Soon, they were rescued collectively by the teachers of the college. One after another, they were sent out of the gate of the dojo. Even to the end, in order not to hold back the captains. Even the teachers slipped away together. Only the 4 Shinigami captains remained, continuing to support the Kido barrier with spiritual power. Fortunately, the teachers and students of the academy escaped in time. Our side is almost at the limit. Hiroku Shunsui gritted his teeth hard. There are a lot of blue veins in many places on the body. This is a symbol of the intense consumption of spiritual energy. At the same time, it also means that he is already on the edge of the limit. And at this time, inside the Kido barrier, spiritual power shuriken, densely packed. After the continuous splitting, it almost occupied every ray of air. Everyone, all people have been safely evacuated. It's time to interrupt the transmission of spiritual power. Even without the barrier of the enchantment, the explosion will spread rapidly in an instant. But with the resistance of the murderous stone, the consequences should not be too serious. Yunohana Retsu said with a solemn face. In her opinion, as long as people are fine, nothing else is important. Even if the entire dojo is razed to the ground. The big deal is that it will be rebuilt in the future, and it will be rebuilt on the original site. It's the first time for me to be so embarrassed by a certain kind of Kido. Bai Chen's various methods are really hard to guard against. Eyes pierced the white barrier. Ichimaru Jin looked directly at Bai Chen who was in it. At this time, it's different from them, obviously the one who created the nuclear bomb. But relying on his control over Kido, Bai Chen's expression was calm the whole time, and he stood still in place confidently. I don't worry at all that I will be injured after the spiritual power shuriken is detonated. And in fact, Bai Chen is not worried at all. Muji healing, perfect control of spiritual power, and wood-style secret technique. He has too many means to resist damage. It doesn't even matter if you just stay still and let the spirit body suffer the blast. But no matter how many explosions there are, it is also far behind the speed of repairing the cells and wounds in his body. So, in the eyes of Ichimaru Jin and Kyoraku Shunsui, the shuriken shadow clone technique that almost exhausted their spiritual power was extremely embarrassing. For Bai Chen, this is just equivalent to throwing a series of firecrackers casually. There will be only fun, no harm. Then, when the number of shurikens with spiritual power exceeds the limit that the Kido barrier can carry, the 4 Shinigami captains also interrupted the transmission of spiritual power at this moment. So, the moment the captains used Shunpo, the figure disappeared in place. Continuous blasting. It's like overthrowing the Bone Nomi card. One after another, it rolled around like a torrent. Immediately after, bang, the light curtain shattered. Fall apart. A large number of barrier fragments either fell to the ground in pieces, or were directly wiped out in the smoke and dust. Blink. The Kido barrier that towered just now. After falling apart, it disappeared without a trace in an instant. Then, no more blockades and restrictions. The explosion is transmitted along the air all the way. By detonating the spirit seeds in it, it suddenly swept the entire martial arts arena. Finally, because the destructive power is too strong. Even if the main body is made of murderous stones. This ancient dojo with a long history and standing for hundreds of years finally collapsed amid endless explosions. Until it was reduced to ruins. Soon after. Over time, the accident was eventually put to rest. But, although there are too many spiritual power shurikens, the range affected by the explosion has affected the nearby safe area. Make college teachers and 6th generation students. Even if he hid here early in the morning, he was still unlucky enough to be injured. Fortunately, there is Reiatsu, the top medical master. Without any serious casualties, all the injured people received treatment one after another for their injuries, luckily avoiding casualties. Call, Captain Reiatsu, thank you. Fortunately, you're here, otherwise, I'd be taking the blame. Even if the accident is over, it has been a while. Recall the devastation wrought by the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique. Hiraku Shunsui still has a chill down his back. On the cheeks and forehead, cold sweat couldn't stop sliding down. The leader of the Beijing band, you're welcome. Healing the wounded and saving lives is the responsibility of every doctor. I'm just trying my best to do my job well. Reiatsu nodded slightly, and said in a gentle voice. A kind-hearted lady. Naturally, he didn't want to see anyone get hurt. By the way, are you still not acting? Hiraku Shunsui asked suddenly. Action? You mean? Reiatsu asked back. Hi, do you still need to ask? Hiraku Shunsui chuckled heartily. Of course it's an invitation to Bai Chen to join the team. And, the discussion of the way of the sword. Finished speaking. Hiraku Shunsui raised his eyebrows on purpose. Cast a meaningful look at Reiatsu. Apparently hinting at her past status as, first generation Kenpachi. In fact, it was as early as the first assessment. Hiraku Shunsui has long seen, Reiatsu's pleasure and excitement. That being the case, so what are you waiting for? Hurry up and invite Bai Chen now. In the face-to-face situation, Hiraku Shunsui didn't think that Bai Chen would easily refuse Reiatsu. Send an invitation. After listening to the other party. Reiatsu's beautiful eyes flashed, obviously moved by this proposal. But, seeing that she is still hesitating, Hiraku Shunsui coughed lightly and reminded again deliberately. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Captain Aizen has found Bai Chen for an interview. If nothing else happens, he should be inviting Bai Chen to join the team right now. Chapter 47 refused to join. Aizen deflated for the first time. Advertise here. Bai Chen. Actually, long before we met today, I have already heard all kinds of rumors and deeds about you. I didn't expect it. After we met, I realized that you are much better than the rumors. It's an honor for Shinigami to have someone like you join the future Gotei 13. Smiling. Smile like a spring breeze. Aizen looked at Bai Chen with a gentle face. Between the lines reveals his appreciation and recognition of Bai Chen. Yes, as Hiraku Shunsui said, as the incident subsides, this event is entering its final phase and is coming to an end. As one of the 4 Shinigami captains in charge of witnessing, Aizen found Bai Chen naturally. And in the face-to-face conversation, he was not stingy with his admiration for Bai Chen, and kept getting closer. Invisible. Once again, the image of, good old man. Through the seamless acting skills, it is perfectly expressed. But, passion for Aizen, even knowing his true face. Bai Chen neither deliberately avoided, nor actively catered to the other party. Rather, as usual with other Shinigami captains. Peace of mind, calm. Nodding calmly, he responded, Captain Aizen is overrated. Thanks to the dedicated protection of the captains, no casualties occurred. As the instigator of this accident, I should be more grateful to you. Out of sophistication, Bai Chen said a few polite words. Hehe, you have such a heart and awareness at such a young age, you are really a rare talent. No matter which team you choose to join in the future, you will be honored by that captain. Aizen smiled slightly, gradually turned the topic to the fan team to choose the top guide. Maybe, I haven't considered such a long term for the time being, after all, I haven't even participated in a soul burial practice yet. Shrugging, Bai Chen replied truthfully. Hehe. With your strength, it is not difficult to pass the soul burial practice. You will graduate from the academy soon. Push the black-rimmed glasses up the bridge of your nose. This time Aizen didn't beat around the bush, but asked straight to the point. So, you really haven't considered in advance which team you plan to join in the future? When asking these words, Aizen's expression showed obvious concern. He is like a gentle and considerate big brother next door. In his words and deeds, he reveals his love for his brother. If ordinary people, facing this kind of gentle and country-like verbal offensive, it will definitely not be long before Aizen will give a strategy. Thus, step by step, he fell into the traps and lies prepared by him. But, Bai Chen is an insider. Without even thinking about it, he easily guessed the purpose of Aizen trying to recruit him. Watch, control, brainwashing. This is Aizen's usual routine. It's just that in the original plot, it was used on Hinamori Momo. Can be the current time node. First-year freshmen have only started school for 1 month. Taozi, who is shy and weak, has not made her mark among the freshmen. To be honest, because of the past month, Bai Chen's performance is too eye-catching. This led to the butterfly effect, making Aizen focus all of his attention on Bai Chen, thus temporarily ignoring the secret investigation of other freshmen. Therefore, in the case that Hinamori Momo has not been found for the time being, Aizen will take the initiative to send out invitations, which is actually quite normal. His motives. It has also been given insight by Bai Chen. Therefore, facing Aizen's verbal hints, Bai Chen naturally declined politely. Captain Aizen, you also know that in the past month, I have mainly studied under the 2 captains of the Juban team. They are responsible for teaching me about the cultivation of the Shinigami 4 skills. Speaking of which, Bai Chen raised his head, his eyes were calm, and he looked at Aizen. So, to tell you the truth, to thank Captain Shiba for their generous teaching. Even if I want to choose the fan team in advance, I will most likely give priority to the 10th team. These reasons, reasonable, makes no fault of it. At the same time, it also indirectly showed that Bai Chen is a person who values love and righteousness. Just blocked the whole topic. Quote. Doesn't seem to be expected. Bai Chen would give such a straightforward answer. After listening, Aizen froze for a moment. Every sentence that I wanted to say next was forced to get stuck in my throat. But, just when the atmosphere gradually became delicate. I don't know if it's a coincidence, or a deliberately arranged plot. Before Aizen could speak, Ichimaru Jin's playful fox voice came from the front. Hey, did you hear me right? It turns out that Bai Chen has already identified the 10th team in advance. That's really a pity. My original intention, like Captain Aizen, was to invite you, Bai Chen, to join the 3rd team. But now it seems that this is no longer necessary. Ichimaru Jin squinted and chuckled. The iconic fox smile, coupled with the unique Kyoto accent. It made him look like a fox who just finished stealing, with a cunning smell all over his body. Captain Ichimaru. Facing Ichimaru Jin's gaze, Bai Chen nodded his head slightly. Regarding what Ichimaru Jin said just now, responding in silence is also an indirect rejection of him. Okay, I see what you're thinking. Hiding his hands inside his cuffs, Ichimaru Jin curled his lips pretending to be helpless. Then look away. While looking at Aizen, he greeted deliberately. Captain Aizen, I know you've always been thirsty for talents. However, since Bai Chen already has his own heart, as a competitor for talent. No matter how regretful it is, we can only congratulate Captain Shiba in advance. Finished speaking, Ichimaru Jin looked away. While ending the topic, he turned and left abruptly. Her generous attitude did not show any suspicious signs of collusion with Aizen. Well, Captain Ichimaru is right. Although it's a pity, I hope to have the opportunity to continue to fight for it. But since you have already made a decision, Bai Chen, I naturally won't force others. He shook his head pretending to regret. But Aizen always had a smile on his face. He didn't change his gentle attitude just because he was rejected by Bai Chen. Finally, after exchanging a few words with Bai Chen, Aizen stepped away in the opposite direction to Ichimaru Jin. Only when he turned around. The moment when he turned his back to Bai Chen. The gentleness in Aizen's eyes disappeared in an instant. Replaced by his handsome face of a scholar, his cold and indifferent eyes are incompatible. Like the snow in the cold winter. People can't help but want to shudder just by looking at it. Chapter 48 New Check-in, 4 Red Yang Formation. Advertise here. Say no to Aizen. Let the big villain behind the scenes disappoint. But what Bai Chen didn't expect was that, as soon as he said goodbye to Aizen and Ichimaru Jin, he immediately ushered in an interview with another big man. Captain Yunohana Retsu. Look at standing in front of yourself. Yunohana Retsu is like a dignified lady. This time, Bai Chen no longer nodded his head in a perfunctory manner, but deliberately bowed his head slightly in salute. There is no other reason. Just for the benevolence of Sister Hua's doctor. Bai Chen must also express his respect. Bai Chen, you shouldn't have been injured just now, right? Yunohana Retsu had a smile on her face. But this sentence is a meaningful opening statement. In addition to caring, it sounds like there is another hidden meaning. Captain Yunohana Retsu, thank you for your concern. I am currently in good condition and there are no injuries on my body. Bai Chen nodded and answered. The reason why there is no injury. It's because of another power you have hidden. A special healing ability comparable to Kaido. Speaking of which, Yunohana Retsu's beautiful eyes flashed, and her tone became a little slower. Quote ? Quote. Sure enough, it was still discovered. Bai Chen was dumbfounded. He didn't expect it at all. The ability of Mayan healing, which has been deliberately hidden before, was actually directly seen through by Sister Hua. Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to hold you accountable. He noticed a slight change in Bai Chen's face. Yunohana Retsu's voice, soft again, said with a smile. Compared to Aizen, although the same gentle, harmonious, understanding. But because it's true feelings, it's not a deliberate disguise. So whenever you speak, Yunohana Retsu will be inadvertently. Give people a feeling of intimacy, relaxation and comfort. It's as if, when facing this century-old captain who has a high status in Seraiti and is respected and loved by countless people. No need to be vigilant. There is no need to deliberately hide anything. You can completely relax and trust the woman in front of you. As the medical captain, nearly 1,000 years of experience in practicing medicine has given me an extraordinary, unique sense of smell for the spiritual power of different people. Just now, during the assessment competition, when you release your spiritual power, in those emerald green rays of light, I can feel the powerful essence of life. And this kind of situation, I have never encountered before. I think, this should be the reason why you are not afraid of getting hurt. Confidentially, after expressing his inner thoughts, Unohana Retsu narrowed her eyes and smiled. So, Captain Unohana Retsu, are you interested in my healing ability? Bai Chen asked back. If you use this reason to invite yourself to join the fourth team, there is nothing wrong with it. Unohana Retsu's smile didn't change. But he gave an intriguing answer. Yes, and no. What's the meaning? Bai Chen was immediately puzzled. It sounds like Sister Hua really cares about something else. In this world, everyone has their own secrets. Since you don't want to take the initiative to expose, then I naturally won't force it. Only, the soft gaze moved down. It landed on Bai Chen's waist, and the pendant hung on the Zanpakutō above the belt. Unohana Retsu's eyes gradually became darker. If I say, what I'm really interested in is your Konoha Ryu sword skill. Bai Chen, would you believe it? When saying these words, Unohana Retsu's expression instantly became extremely complicated. And her thoughts. It also seems to have returned to 1,000 years ago. In a trance, I recalled myself back then. That big devil who killed people like hemp and had blood on his hands. But, Sister Hua is not remembering the past. Instead, I hope to find the persistent pursuit and desire for Kendo in the past from the memory of Yakiryu. Captain Unohana Retsu, as you said just now, everyone has her own reasons for being trusted. Bai Chen smiled slightly. I will give back what Sister Hua said just now. Very good. Your purity has indeed lived up to the careful cultivation of the captain. Nodding, Sister Hua grinned and responded with a graceful smile. Both sides have their own secrets. But without asking too many questions. This is exactly what Unohana Retsu wanted. So, when will we have a swordsmanship sparring? Bai Chen continued to ask. Although for Senju Hashirama's templating abilities. Kendo, sword skills, just a small branch, not the main ability. But a rare opportunity to go further. Naturally, Bai Chen won't mind, he will go further on the road of Kendo. In order to avoid being criticized by others. The most suitable time is to wait until the soul burial internship is over, and you have graduated from Spiritual Arts Academy and joined Gotei 13. Sister Hua's idea is very simple. After all, Kendo sparring is a long-term thing, not just 1 or 2 rounds. She didn't want to because of this matter. It affected Bai Chen's original intention of joining the team. However, Unohana Retsu is not clear. When she mentioned the words, soul burial practice. Bai Chen sighed. The system prompt sounded at the right time. Ding. New check-in task released. No time limit. Please go to Karakura Town, near the Urahara store, and check in. After signing in, you will receive a special reward. 4 Red Yang Formation, Flame-Enhanced version. Hear the beep. And after reading the text reminder, Bai Chen's eyes suddenly burst into a strong light. Hey, 4 Red Yang Formation, are Flame-Enhanced. Looks like, I'm about to sign up another magical skill that is comparable to a big move. Chapter 49 Soul Burial Practice. Sweet date. Advertise here. If I remember correctly, to launch the 4 Red Yang Formation, you must gather the power of 4 cage-level ninjas. And after the enchantment is established, it can even restrain 10 tails. Bai Chen recalled it carefully. In his impression, 4 Red Yang Formation, it was jointly launched by Hokage of all ages. After the enchantment was formed, it was not only so huge that it shot straight into the sky. The surface of the enchantment is even accompanied by red flames. Prevent anyone from entering or escaping without permission. And once it touches the 4 walls, it will cause the burning of the flame. I see. No wonder it will be a flame-enhanced version. It seems that the improvement and strengthening of the system this time is specifically aimed at the flames on the surface of the barrier. Think here. In Bai Chen's mind, can't help flashing a very close skill. Ryujin Jaka's sealing move after liberation. Once in the Karakura Town decisive battle, the Aizen trio was trapped in the flames and could not participate in the battle for a short time. Burning the city, a closed space formed by a 6,000-degree high-temperature flame. Intuition told Bai Chen, 4 Red Yang Formation after system improvement. Whether it is the seal effect, or the temperature of the flame. Certainly not inferior to the old man's burning city. Subsequently, Bai Chen put away his thoughts in satisfaction. Then, after a few simple conversations with Sister Hua, the conversation ended. Since it's already agreed, then you can safely put aside the matter of swordplay for the time being. The top priority is to look for opportunities to complete the sign-in task in the soul burial internship first. For this check-in location, although Bai Chen felt a little surprised, he didn't think too much about it. Urahara store. That is, after Urahara Kazuki defected from the Soul Society, he ran an ordinary shop in this world. And want to go here. Just arrange the location of soul burial practice in Karakura Town in advance. It's a little thing. In Bai Chen's eyes, there is no difficulty. After all, he had already been promised by Matsumoto Rangaku before. And lead the team to carry out soul burial practice. It is also within the scope of the 10th Division's responsibility. Therefore, sign in and get rewards. It's almost a sure thing. Quickly, the day Bai Chen was looking forward to came. Early in the morning, after meeting with the 6th generation students, the group followed the teacher of the academy to the gate of piercing the world. And after coming here, Bai Chen also got his wish, and saw the beautiful figure who had been together day and night before. Ah, Bai Chen, it's been a while since I saw you. How do I feel? It's been a long time since I left your side. Feel Bai Chen's gaze. Matsumoto Rangaku, who has been waiting here for a long time, hastily turned around excitedly, and while speaking very ambiguous words, came to him at a brisk pace. This move, and what I just said. In an instant, the 6th generation students around him showed envious expressions. Bai Chen's luck is too good. Captain Soi Fon, Captain Unohana Retsu, and now Vice Captain Matsumoto. Every female Shinigami captain who has been in contact with him before, without exception, is very close to him. It would be great if I could have such a womanhood someday. The 6th generation students were downcast. He could only silently accept the fact that Matsumoto Rangaku ignored them directly and was elated after coming to Bai Chen's side. No way. There is a huge gap between people. There are many things, even if you envy them, you will never get them in your life. Not to mention Matsumoto Rangaku, a sexy woman with both body and beauty. Vice Captain Rangaku, because I am participating for the first time. So this time, soul burial practice, I'll thank you for your advice along the way. Feel the passion of Matsumoto Rangaku. Bai Chen smiled slightly, no longer an honorific title. Instead, he calls Matsumoto Rangaku by his first name. Hey, Bai Chen, what you said. Matsumoto Rangaku approached and said with a big grin, I have never forgotten what I promised you at the beginning. Thanks to Matsumoto Rangaku is very close. Bai Chen could even clearly feel the slight shaking of the headlights when the other party was talking. Immediately couldn't help but look down. Looks like it's been a while. The cute little pets seem to be developing better. And after Bai Chen saw it this way, Matsumoto Rangaku's complexion became rosy with a brush. Directly in front of everyone, she showed a shyness that did not match the image of Sister Yu. The 6th generation students who watched were stunned on the spot. I wipe. Is it really okay to flirt openly in front of so many of us? Soul burial practice. Hee hee. This trip to reality should be a sweet date for the two of them. This moment. Happy treatment for Bai Chen. Although all the 6th generation students hate it so much. But I can only watch helplessly. That's an angry feeling in my heart. Finally, with the opening of the world transmitting gate. Led by Matsumoto Rangaku, a group of people stepped into it in an orderly manner. Officially start the soul burial practice. Chapter 50 Strangers are not welcome here. Advertise here. Finally reached. Soon after, with the opening of the portal. The figure of Bai Chen jumped slightly from it and stood in midair. This is Karakura Town. The architectural style and town size are obviously different from Soul Society. He looked down and looked around. Take in all the vistas below. After sighing, Bai Chen immediately looked away. Concentrate on two things to do right now. First, in order to complete the soul burial training, Bai Chen must purify at least 5 wandering souls within the specified time. And the so-called flowing soul. It generally refers to those souls who have no spiritual power and wander around alone. They are born after the death of human beings, out of the body. There are only 2 final results. Either be purified by Zanpakutō and be guided to the Soul Society by Shinigami. Either be eaten by Shu. Or with hatred and resentment, gradually degenerate into nothingness during the long wandering. As for the way to purify the soul, it's actually very simple. Just find the hole, and use Zanpakutō's hilt to touch it in front of its forehead and you're done. Due to this process, it is not necessary to liberate Zanpakutō. That's why he became a college student and had to take part in an assessment before graduation. Later, just leave the matter of purifying the flowing soul to the clone of wood style. And I need to find the Urahara store ASAP. Think for a moment. Bai Chen quickly made a decision. As of now, he probably only knows that the Urahara store is located in the suburbs. And Karakura Town is a big city again. Therefore, want to be among the many buildings lined up. Look out for the unassuming Urahara store. Really need to spend a certain amount of time to search Kakesing. Soon after, in the urban area of Karakura Town, on a certain street corner. Thank you, kind stranger. Thank you for leading me to the legendary paradise. Appears with a light white aperture. A stooped old woman expressed her gratitude with great joy. At the same time, her figure gradually became blurred and dim. Leave this world with peace of mind. After you go to Soul Society, you will start a new life. At this time, standing in front of this old wandering soul, the person who just completed the purification ceremony on her is naturally Bai Chen's wood-style clone. And this is just one of the purifications among the many avatars. With the wood-style avatar, it hardly took too long. Bai Chen easily completed the mission requirements. At the same time, his body also arrived in the outskirts of Karakura Town. Something's wrong. The spirit particle concentration in the area ahead is very unstable. The reason why this phenomenon occurs must be because of the existence of some kind of enchantment. The figure of Bai Chen shuttled in midair. He crossed almost half of Karakura Town along the way. But, when arriving at a desolate neighborhood with few people, relying on the subtle induction of spirits, Bai Chen easily discovered the hidden clues. If I'm not mistaken, the Urahara store should be hidden around here. Stop. No longer use Shunpo to travel through. After glancing around with his head down, the corners of Bai Chen's mouth curled up playfully. The more sensitive, hidden in the air, the fluctuating aura of the enchantment became more and more clear. At this time, Bai Chen is almost 100% sure. After some searching, he finally found the right place. Really? A few minutes later, when Bai Chen is about to approach a courtyard that looks quite old. Ding! The host has been detected and has arrived within the range of the check-in location. Do you want to check in? The system prompt sounded. Tisk. It's the first time I try to sign in this world. The improved and strengthened 4 red yang formation shouldn't disappoint, right? With a mood full of anticipation, Bai Chen immediately chose to sign in. The next moment. Ding! The next step is to officially sign in. The sign-in time is 5 seconds, and if you quit halfway, it will be considered a failure. Everything is similar to before. Soon, as the countdown ended, the notification sounded again. And that means, Bai Chen is almost effortless. Then another big move level ceiling skill is unlocked. Ding! Congratulations to host, the sign-in is successful. Sign-in reward. 4 red yang formation, flame-enhanced version. This moment, Bai Chen clearly felt it. In my brain, a memory related to 4 red yang formation emerged out of thin air. Not bad. The sign-in reward is so easy to get. Bai Chen grinned, showed a faint smile, but, just when he withdrew his thoughts in satisfaction and was about to leave here. Suddenly, without warning, in the area behind him, in the originally empty air, a hostile voice suddenly came out. Irreverent brat from Soul Society. Strangers are not welcome here.